The big dog rushes at the little girl, who covers her face with her hands. The main character asks the count why he is doing this to her since she doesn't understand anything. The big fat uncle replies that he will do anything for the family and calls the little girl dirty, and then screaming, he invites her to shut up and die. The little girl cries and asks him to stop, and then explains that she is scared. And at this time, the dog really scares the little girl. At this time, the girl realizes that she does not want to die, and the Duke claims that she is a vile spawn of the devil. The main character opened her eyes and thought that she had this nightmare again, and then she realizes that now is not the time to sleep, and she begins to train her speech. The little girl realizes that she cannot pronounce certain words clearly because she is so small. And she's already 5 years old, and she speaks slurred. The lady with black hair knows that she cannot give up, and she understands that the gold coins are very beautiful, and she wants them. The main character holds out her hands and claims that they give her money for her upbringing and gold. The main character's name is Mia Evelyn, and maybe it seems to you that she is obsessed with money, and she doesn't reject it because she just wants to save her life. Being alone in the room, the girl realizes that she does not need gold, since she will quickly die of hunger. And at this time he understands that it will be opened today. Mia looks at the door and reflects on the fact that she has never left this door, and she understands that this is why no one can save her. The main character lives in the Evelyn estate, and he realizes that she looks more like a ghost, and the only thing she can do is endure. Mia suggests that important days are coming soon, and so she needs to practice her pronunciation more. The main character is the daughter of the Holy Virgin. Arlene Evelyn is the 9th daughter of God, and a supporter of the El Kala religion, which is professed by half of the inhabitants of the empire. In the Paradise region lives an angel named Nerafim, who has sacred power, and he gives protection to special people. They are called holy maidens and holy knights. All of their direct descendants were born with dazzling ashen hair, and thanks to her mother, the Evelyn family was able to gain enormous wealth and power. One day, the main character's mother appeared at home, pregnant. No matter how many times they asked her, she did not mention her father's name. The secret was revealed at the moment of Mia's birth, because her pitch-black hair color gave her away. Dark hair was a special feature of those who used brutal force, and a symbol of the demons of Nerafim's enemies. Immediately after birth, the girl was hidden in a secret room, and her mother fell into eternal sleep from illness. The other half of the empire's population professed a devilish cult, but the Evelyn family, to which the Holy Virgins were born, could not accept such a religion. A woman with silver hair turns to the little girl and says that she is a dirty devil seed who killed her sister. Hearing this, the main character thought that a child like her should not have been born. The Duke angrily shouting that now he will not be promoted to cardinal. And so the dreams of the Evelyn family collapsed miserably after her birth. Because of this, the main character became an outcast. Once a day, a maid came to her to change her diaper, and once a week, there is a butler who teaches writing, and that's all. Alone in the room, the girl thinks that she needs to get out, otherwise she will die. However, she understands that she cannot go anywhere without a penny in her pocket. At this time, the main character remembers that her uncle asked her how much her education costs and whether she knows about it. And the aunt claimed that she felt sorry for the money that was spent on her, and then, screaming, she said that it would be better for her to die. Mia reflects on the fact that it takes a lot of money to provide for a person, and she does not understand why then leave her alive. However, she found out the reason earlier this year on her birthday. The woman with silver hair, screaming, reports that she ruined her sister's life, and she again offers the girl to die. The main character recalls that then her aunt came to her for the first time in 3 months, who pulled the girl by the hair and screamed and claimed that she did not understand how this devilish scum could be born into their family. And at this time, the girl cries and says that she is to blame. Aunt tells Mia to repeat after her that she killed her mother, and her mother died because of her birth. And the girl repeats these sad words. The lady in the red dress claims that she said the right thing because she thinks she is a murderer. And then he tells the girl to write it on paper and asks if she can write. And the little lady replies that she was taught. Mia understands that the first thing the butler drilled into her head was that she had no last names. And the girl writes with tears that she devoured her mother. The aunt reports that until she writes 100 sheets of paper, she will not receive food. And the little lady is pontificating about how she killed her mother because she is the devil's spawn, and she is a freak who should never have been born. At this time, Mia thought that she wanted to live, And when she copied a lot of sheets, she lost consciousness from powerlessness, and she fell into a long sleep in which everything was very realistic. The little girl, being in a large hall among people, did not understand where she was, and not a single picture was erased from her memory, because each of the 4 dreams began the same way. One day after her birthday, she was let out of her room and given a normal bed and clean clothes. And so the main character began to follow all the instructions of her household because she did not want to go back. The girl recalls that the first dream was a real nightmare, where she was secretly allowed to attend a reception in the capital, but then she had to hide her dark hair under a wig. The aunt approached Mia and asked if she saw the young man with red hair, and then she invited the girl to come up to him and hand him a glass. Aunt reports that the drink is very good for health. This guy's name was Abel Dundevre. The Archduchy of Dundevre was an opponent of the El Hala religion and the heart-shaped devil cult. The main character thought that she needed to think at least once about why she was told to give a glass to the second son of this family, and she understood that if she ignored the order, she would again receive punishment. The little lady approaches the guy and gives him a glass of red liquid. The young master thanked the girl and then drank. As it turned out, there was poison in the glass which killed the young gentleman. A few months later, the main character found out what she was doing, and her aunt tells her that she is a murderer. Suddenly, a large-scale war broke out. In order to avenge Abel, the demon worshippers led by the Dundevre family took up arms. They declared war on all adherents of Yel Hela, and after which the Evlan family, the sacred knight, and the priests of the temple entered into confrontation. At the end, the main character learned that for some unknown reason, her own uncle used her to provoke a war. Mia thinks that this is very terrible, and she doesn't even want to call him uncle, because for her, he's just Count Evlan. Even after the incident, the main character continued to be imprisoned for a long time, and all this time the girl thought that she was to blame. After all, if her dream had ended at this moment, she would not have been able to make any plans. But fortunately, the dream continued. A young gentleman with black hair looks at the girl and asks if she is his daughter, and at that time she thought that he was her own father, Archduke Dundevre. Mia can't believe that her mother loved their enemy, and apparently Count Evlan hid her so that she could not meet her father. And she also understands that not knowing the whole truth does not change the fact that she killed her half-brother with her own hands, and this is where the first dream ends. In the second dream, she did not do what she was ordered, and soon the Count killed her. He let a hunting dog pattern her lifeless body, and then threw it to the main gate of the Dundevre estate. And this act also led to war. The third dream was more or less ordinary. In it, the main character provoked the maids of the estate, who hated her. They began to pour water on the girl at the washing place on the day of the reception. Well, finding the right moment, the main character ran away. And so, her wandering story began. Mia understood that she could not go to the shelter, as her family would immediately find her, and she was too small to squeeze into a group of street hooligans. After all her hardships, the little lady had a chance to meet a merchant from whom she learned to work. And no one could have thought that she was a descendant of a secular family. After some time, the main character managed to become a manager in charge of the cash register. At this time, the girl thought that she had such a long and tiring dream and she wanted to wake up from it. The last fourth dream was slightly strange and short. The father calls the girl Mel and she does not understand why he calls her that and why this name is so pleasant to the ear. The main character is interested in the question of why her father values her so much, since she killed her mother. The girl thinks that this is a trap, since nothing good can happen to her, and at this time she began to wonder that this could be her real future. Mia thought that if she was allowed to choose her future path, then perhaps she could get out of there, because her plan was simple. And the first point was that she had to tell Dad about her uncle's evil intentions. Since the girl was sure that he was listening to her words, since Evelyn was at enmity. The second paragraph stated that the little lady could request a fee for the information, because she understood that in the dream, Dad did not show hatred. Mia thinks that if instead of raising her, she asks him for money, then maybe she will be able to save money for herself for a while. Point 3. The main character wanted to demand to hire security or find an institution that could provide her with protection. Point 4. Lady reflects on the fact that with the money she has received, she can find her way in life. Mia, I am sure that she will succeed because she has practiced her pronunciation. The little lady knelt down and prayed that if the demon also has his own god, then she asks that her dad turn out to be a kind person. Suddenly, an uncle and aunt came into the little lady's room. They always had a very angry expression on their faces. Seeing them, the girl says that she missed them. The Duke turns to the girl and orders her to follow him and explains that now she will live in another place. Hearing this, the main character was happy and at that time thought that all her dreams began with leaving here. And so it was her turn to choose. Sitting on the new crib, Mia thought that it was very soft. And this room was also old, but it was not so cold and there were no splinters in the floor. The girl understands that if she relies on the first dream, then she should sit next to her aunt at the dining table, but since it is already evening, she is still in the room. The main character understands that the maids may be the cause of all this. Believe me, when they came to her room, she was a little mischievous. And the aunt, when she saw the girl with the maids, invited them to leave her and let this animal get used to it. Left alone in the room, the girl thought that all the events coincided with the third dream. Mia suggests that the maid should bring her food after a while, and she's wondering if she should behave the way she was treated. The little lady thinks that if she behaves badly, the maids will decide to pour water on her, and she, having found an opportune moment, will be able to escape. And also after that, she will need to immediately go to Dad. Although the main character considers him a terrible demonic Archduke, she thinks that he will not drive his own blood out of the door. And she also understands that she must definitely get money. When the maid entered the room, Mia thought that this was the same maid, and everything was happening as she thought. The maid with blonde hair tormented the girl like hell in every dream. And, for example, she kept an eye on her and brought her absolutely inedible food. And at this time, the maid did not even put out any cutlery. The girl asks the maid if she, in her opinion, is an animal that should eat with her hands. And at this time, she understands that with terrible hunger, she has only two options, to eat or to eat through force. The main character recalls that in the third dream, she refused to eat. And then he invites the maid to feed her. The maid claims that my lady should eat herself, and she replies that she doesn't want to, and also threatens that if she doesn't feed him, she will tell the Count everything. The maid asks her to wait and informs her that she will move the cutlery, and at that time, I thought that this little girl doesn't even know what it is. However, Mia does not let her go anywhere and orders her to feed her with her hands. Hearing this, the maid was surprised, and then claims that these are her hands, and the girl asks why then she should eat them. The maid explains that she simply forgot, and the little lady says that means she's not doing her job. The maid heard this, became very angry, and then screamed and said that she should be damned. Mia tells the maid to sweep and redo it, and when she arrives, she should knock before entering. However, the maid objects and then asks if the fly knows how long it will take. The main character threatens that she will tell on her. And at that time, she thought that the Count was about to arrive at the speed of the court, and she needed to take advantage of the moment. The maid claims that she is a devil, and it is immediately clear that she is the spawn of a demon. Hearing this, the girl begins to scream, and the maid covers her mouth with her hands. And at this time, the main character thought that she knew that the maid did not want to be caught, and this means that these taunts were entirely her idea. Mia understands that the maid does not like to receive orders from the child. However, at this time, she understands that the main thing now is that she plays by her rules. The little lady claims that the maid will be fired. Hearing this, the maid seemed to break loose, attack the girl, and then screaming and saying that she was a dirty brat who thought that she belonged here, as they call her milady. And then she says that she wonders how long she will be treated like this. Another maid from the corridor reports that the Count is coming. Hearing this, the maid does not understand why he is coming here so quickly. And at this time, the little girl began to cry. The Duke asks the maid what the noise is, and when he enters the room, he asks what is happening, and then claims that he is waiting for an answer. Milady explains that the maid told her to eat with her hands, and if she refuses, she will become as bald as her uncle. At this time, the main character thought that her dreams helped her find the insult that the Count hated most. And when he heard the word bald, he literally lost his mind. Mia tells the Count that the maid said that Mr. Count is bald due to laziness and overeating. The gentleman heard this, screamed, and asked how she dared insult him. And then he orders the maid to be taken out immediately and punished properly. The maid, screaming, asks to listen to her, and then claims that this devil is lying, At this time, the main character said goodbye to the maid because she understood that this was the only way the other workers would hate her, and this is the only way it will be in place for washing clothes. The girl reflects on the fact that the gentleman did not suspect anything, and she slapped herself in vain. And at that time, I thought that he probably wanted to kill her. The main character reflects on the fact that, according to canon, she should not die today, and then she realizes that she has nothing to fear. The uncle informs her that she will be left without dinner, and then angrily leaves the room. Being alone in the room, the main character thought that her plan had worked, and she had succeeded, and this is her first small victory. The next morning, the little lady was not fed, but only towards noon did the maid bring and throw her lunch. Mia pounced on the food, and at that time she thought about whether she would be able to eat deliciously after she received money for her upbringing. Archduke Halit Fasa Dundever, who is called the Demon of War and the Butler, said that Dad is one of the demons, and his two sons are complete opposites of each other, just like fire and ice, and no one knows from whom, when, and where they were born, and the only thing that is known is that they are both strong and cold-blooded. It seemed to the Kopek piece that the second son whom she poisoned was a little less insensitive. Mia wonders if she needs to focus because she's wondering if her dad will believe her. The public falsely thinks that Count Evelyn is an outstanding person, and they understand that this is all they can sell. The main character suggests that she will offer her dad to buy information from her that will help prevent the collapse of the world, and she is also confident that she should succeed. 2 days passed, and Mia heard a conversation that the stench was simply terrible, and this creature needed to be washed, and also the maid should not forget about the wig. And at this time, the main character thought that the very moment that she had been replaying in her head over and over again had finally arrived. One of the maids reports that the Count has left, and the other offers to drag the girl and says that the lady has imagined herself and then called her trash. The little girl objects and screams, saying that they let go of her hands, and the maid says that she can yell as much as she wants, since Madame has left and no one will hear her. The maids drag the girl into the laundry room, and at that time she thought that she could do everything because she felt fine. And these three are not aware of the imminent return of their aunt. The girl understands that cold water will pour on her, and then she will scream as loud as possible. The maids talk about how a lady needs to be clean, and she needs to wash herself thoroughly. And then they claim that nothing can wash away her nasty black hair color. Mia realizes that they only hate her because she is a professed El Kala, and therefore she does not need to be upset. And at that time, she thought that she was simply very cold. Suddenly, the main character saw a hole through which she could crawl through and escape. At this time, the mistress comes into the laundry room and claims that she clearly said to wash it and prepare it for the reception, and then asks how to understand this. The main character understands that she must do this now, since there will be no second chance and even less a third. And then she bites the maid's hand, and at this time she grabs her dress and runs into the hole. The girl found herself in an alley behind the Evlan mansion. And then she remembers that in the third dream she walked along these streets many times. And she understands that neither the maids nor the knights will find her here. Street vagabonds saw a little girl in a beautiful dress and said that they could grab a hefty sum for her because they consider her an aristocrat. The thief offers to grab the girl, and then they run after her. At this time, Mia thought that she needed to quickly run to the main street. When she ran outside, she saw many people shouting that His Highness the Archduke had arrived. The little lady ran out onto the road right in front of the horse, and at that time I thought that she couldn't die right away. And she closed her eyes and thought that she needed another chance. The gentleman tells the coachman to stop, and then gets out of the carriage and approaches the girl and says that she looks like a duckling that was taken out of water. The little lady looked at the gentleman and thought that he was Dad, and she thinks that she must tell him everything clearly, and that she must not cry. A gentleman with dark hair says that a familiar smell emanates from her, and at this time the main character thought that it was because she was his daughter, and he should recognize her immediately. Mia, screaming, says that he should give her money for the food. The Count took the girl to his palace and gave her a warm blanket and hot tea. The butler turns to the master and says that His Highness the Emperor is very annoyed due to the suspension of the reception. The Archduke offers to tell the Emperor that he has already danced enough to his tune, and one more demand, and he can consider himself a corpse. Hearing this, the butler says that this is an amazing answer. At this time, the main character thought that most likely Dad was never afraid of anything, and he was still so handsome. And she instinctively feels the superiority emanating from him, which can only be possessed by someone who is at the highest level of the food chain. The servant asks what they should do with this little one. Khalid offers to listen to her first, and then explains that she smells like something familiar. The butler claims that he understands him, and then says that it is already late and the girl should spend the night here. And the gentleman suggests calling someone to look after her. And then he says that this female is too precious for him to care for her, and he will return this matter to Tina. The servant asks if they can serve the girl like the masters. Archduke Dundever says that it is interesting, since he returned after several years on the battlefield, when suddenly a baby appears, emitting the scents of Dundever. She also asks for alimony. At this time, Mia thought that fortunately Dad was friendly to her and there were no further events in her dreams, and she needed to pull herself together. When the girl took one sip of tea, she thought that she had never drunk such a bitter abomination, and at that time I thought that they saw how capricious she was. The main character understands that she needs to behave like an adult. After all, this is the only way she can sit down at the negotiating table. And Mr. Khalid says that immature individuals do not know how to drink tea, and the butler says that he doesn't know because he only saw how it was done to the master. And judging by the girl's reaction, she didn't like it. The Archduke found this strange, since Abel liked this, and the butler claims that this is not comparable, since the gentleman even ate the Minotaur's horn with pleasure. The Duke offers to feed the girl something she likes, and then walks like a duck. Mia realizes that she shouldn't let him go, and then screaming, she calls him Daddy and hugs his leg. At this time, the main character thought that she was obliged to convey this to him and said that she wanted to make a deal, otherwise I would catch him. Hearing this, the Archduke asks if he refuses the deal, will she poison him with poison? And then says that this is just like a she-devil. Having heard this, the girl does not understand why he even thought that. After all, besides, she is not a devil. The father takes the girl in his arms and reports that she burned her leg because she wanted to run up to him so badly. And then he invites Livius to treat the wound. When the butler treated the girl's wound, at that time she thought that she needed to thank him so that they would treat her better. And then she says, hopefully. Livius says that as a demon, this is the first time he has received praise from a female. And then he says that he needs to leave for a while. When the main character and her father were left alone, the girl thought that now was the time to tell everything, and the main thing was not to rush. Mia suggests that her father not go to today's reception, and hearing this, the gentleman asks why. The girl reports that she was looking for him to convey these words, and she barely escaped. The Duke asks if he is asking him for money, and the girl explains that this is a payment for information and this money is for education. And at this time, the main character thought that she had not yet said the most important thing, because exactly what would happen at the reception. And then she says she's asking for half. Khalid agrees with the girl and then asks what she wants as an advance. Mia replies that she wants something small, shiny, and expensive, and at that time she thought that this should be a thing that she could then sell. Khalid gave the girl a gem and asks if this is enough. The little lady, seeing this pebble, thought that thanks to her work as a jeweler in her third dream, she had seen many different pebbles, but she had never seen anything like this. After all, she understands that this Archduke's cufflink is definitely expensive. Mia reports that the criminal, Count Evlon, is trying to kill Abel, and after these words, she thought that she was scared and said that he would be poisoned. Hearing this, the Archduke says that it seems that the Nerathim rat has gone mad. The little lady reports that the Count is using the child, and Abel cannot be tortured from someone else's glass. Otherwise he will die. The gentleman reports that he understood her and about alimony, and about the fact that she is his daughter. They will talk later. And then he pats her on the head and asks her to be more careful and not run headlong towards him anymore. A little girl shows a dress and says that it is dirty and needs to be washed. And at that time I thought that he did not smell an unpleasant odor from her, and he probably left because he realized what a mess she was and got angry. Suddenly the maids entered the room and greeted my lady. Seeing them, the girl was surprised and said that they had horns. Hearing this maid, Tina laughed and then asked for forgiveness because she could not remove her horns. The maid says that everything is fine and reassures Milady, and then explains that only the highest demons, like her, for example, can completely hide their horns. and she says that her horns are absolutely natural for her. The girl was surprised when she heard this and then claims that she does not have horns. Tina explains what it means she hasn't grown up enough yet, and it's okay because they will appear soon and she will be able to cleverly hide them. The maid makes Milady feel at home and then explains that she is here to look after her. At this time, the main character thought that Tina was very affectionate. Tina tells the girl that she will answer all her questions, but first she offers to go wash. Sitting in a warm bath, the girl asks whether Tina is a woman or a man. After all, she heard the word hermaphrodite from her uncle, but did not understand what it meant. The maid explains that in appearance she can be mistaken for a woman, but lower demons like her are born without gender, and all this is for the convenience and service of higher demons. Tina explains that her task is to take care of a superior person, and she did not know that she would be serving a higher female demon, and therefore it is a real honor for her. Hearing this, the main character thought that she really was a demon, and he reflects on the fact that if there is a god with the angel Neraphim, then there must be demons and the devil. Mia realizes that she is also a demon, and it still shocks her, and she also cannot believe that Count Evan's words about the devil's spawn were true. However, it's somehow strange for the girl because she was taught that demons are bad, but Tina is affectionate and kind. The maid saw a beautiful and distinct mark and then says that she is sure that after awakening, the little lady will become an incredible demon. The girl assures that it is just a birthmark. However, Tina is sure that this is a mark. And then she explains that she doesn't yet know how to use magic, and therefore doesn't see anything special in it, but in her eyes, everything is different. Mia wonders what she looks like and asks about it. The maid responds that she sees a butterfly. Hearing this, the girl thought with pleasure that the butterfly on her body was very beautiful. A little girl wonders if her dad is married and asks about this because she heard that he has 2 sons. And at this time, I thought that the rest of the children were not from their mother and turned out to be. Dad married another woman. The main character understands that she and her brothers have different blood, and therefore her father's wife will not like her. And she thinks that this woman can suddenly mock her, just like her aunt. Tina says that marriage is a new word for them, and then he explains that demons do not have this concept. After all, precious female demons like her meet and give birth to children, and they don't have to tie the knot and be responsible for raising a child. The maid explains that education is the responsibility of male demons, and she should know about it. Because if he suddenly meets someone who is trash and refuses to raise a child, then he will have to break all his limbs. Mia understands that Dad raised his sons himself, and probably he fed them well and dressed them in warm clothes. And the little lady reflects on the fact that she does not need to be jealous, since they have a different life. The maid looks at the girl with delight and then reports that she is beautiful and is sure that Mr. Cayenne and Mr. Abel are very surprised when they see her. The girl reflects on the fact that she does not need to learn the names of the residents of this house, since she is unlikely to become part of their family, and she doesn't want to ruin the whole idyll with her presence. And when Dad comes, they will have to finish their deal and then disappear. The maid prepared hot chocolate, and the girl really liked it after drinking it. After all, she had already given him a marshmallow which did not melt completely. Tina tells little Milady that it is time for her to rest, and then he explains that good sleep is important for growth. The girl asks where the Archduke is, and she replies that His Highness is a little busy because he is all at work after returning from the battlefield, and today he is visiting an important place. The main character is wondering whether her dad will have time to listen to her, and will he be able to prevent Abel's death, since she doesn't want her brother to die. Tina leaves the room and wishes Milady good dreams. At this time, the girl thought that it was pleasant for her to lie in a soft bed. After all, she understands that for the first time in her life, she took a hot bath, and the milk and marshmallows turned out to be very tasty. Mia thinks that these dazzling memories will help her live on and not give up. However, she understands that this is not her home, and therefore she cannot get used to it since it will be too sad to leave here. Late at night, when he returned to the Duke, he asks how his girl is. The butler replies that my lady fell asleep, and Tina bathed her and checked for a butterfly on her body. Hearing this, Khalid reflects on the fact that the mother of his sons does not have feelings of affection for him, and therefore she would not care if he dated someone else. However, he himself refrained from meeting women in order to devote more time to his children, and then it suddenly turns out that he had a daughter. The Duke realizes that his suspicions fall on, and then asks the butler what is going on with the surveillance of the Evlan family. Livius replies that he was informed that their knights were roaming the small alleys today. After all, their people who were in the pawn shop considered this strange, since usually the Evlan knights do not organize patrols. Khalid says that he found it funny, but he generally understood the whole situation, and then they told the butler to make inquiries about Arlene. Evlan. The Duke recalls that the 9th daughter of God came to him before the start of the war. She said that there was no difference, since he was not married anyway, and invited him to be with her, and then she demanded to live together. Arlene explained that she was tired of being the daughter of God. Khalid suggests that she most likely stole his energy that day. Livius says that as far as he knows, nothing happened then. The Duke says that then he refused her because the situation was not the best due to the fact that the war began before his plans. And he suggests that Arlene could contain his energy and carry out the conception alone. After all, the girl's age and the time she spent in captivity coincide. The butler asks if Arlene is Evelyn is a man, because she couldn't get pregnant from energy alone, like demons. Khalid says that he is right, but Arlene is also God's daughter and she found some way. Livius asks the owner if he thinks that Arlena Evelyn decided to have a child for the sake of the collapse of the family. The Duke objects and says that he thinks she wanted to raise a girl, but she didn't know that the bearer of El-Hal's power dies after giving birth to a child from a demon. The butler asks what to do with my lady then, and he replies that he will observe first and then asks how Abel is doing. Livius replies that the master was happy after he told him not to attend the reception. At this time, at the meeting, Nerafim says that they lost the girl, and she was the only opportunity to get rid of Abel Dundever, and the boy is so simple that without any doubt he would accept a glass from a demon like him. Duke Evlan begs on his knees to forgive him, and then claims that he will solve everything. At this time, the man offers to brainwash him, and then says that they agreed so that she would not have any thoughts of escaping. And he calls the Duke a brainless idiot who cannot cope with one child. Nerafim cries out that their plan has failed unless he eliminates Abel Dundev. Mr. Evelyn asks again, forgive him and give him another chance because he will do anything. But the king explains that he is useless and then tells him to get out. Nerafim reports that very soon a new child of God will descend to earth. And after that, with the help of magic, he throws him out the door. At this time, Evan reflected on the fact that on the day when Arlene, his younger sister, was chosen as God's daughter, he, being an unremarkable descendant of a count family, began to dream of glory. The count thought that he would become a cardinal. However, the dream collapsed on the day when the devilish family was born. On the night after Arlena's death, Evlan heard the voice of Nerafim, who told him to leave the child because it would become useful. After all, it is impossible not to kill, not to cherish a child. And he understands that he followed the order of the angel, since his efforts could raise him to the title of Holy Emperor. The aristocrats who were walking down the street at that time saw the count and asked what happened to him. Well, when he turned to them, they saw a mark on his forehead. And then they say that Count Evelyn was rejected. The mark is a punishment given by the Nerafim to the fallen believers of El-Hala. It is also the mark of a traitor who has lost any privileges of his religion. The gentlemen propose to expel the count from here and drive away this traitor before anyone else sees. They also offer to take off your robe before leaving and not disgrace them, and also not to appear here again. At this time, Count Evan does not understand how he should continue to live. After all, he can engage in trading with the remaining money or punish Marianne to marry her ex-husband again, because he needs to come up with something quickly before rumors about his brand spread around the area. Sitting in the carriage, the Count, screaming, says that this road does not lead to his estate. At this time, the main character is reflecting on the fact that she will no longer be able to live without milk and marshmallows. She also wonders when Dad will return, since she has not heard from him for several days. Mia thinks that it's time to kick her out of the house, but she doesn't understand why her father doesn't say anything. And maybe he forgot about her because she was small. At this time, Tina looked at the planned girl and asked if she was bored. However, the main character objects and says that everything is fine, and at that time I thought that she was not just bored, as if her head was about to explode. The maid asks the girl if she would like to take a walk around the mansion, and explains that His Highness has given his consent to this. They can go through all 666 rooms. And then he explains that one room is like a sea of pearls, and the other is strewn with diamonds. The maid explains that in the center of the third floor is a room containing His Highness's achievements. Having heard this, the girl claims that she wants to go there and at that time thought that she could get to know her dad better this way. Walking along the corridor, Mia does not understand why all the maids are looking at her, and then she asks about it. Tina explains that she is the most lovely lady here and you can't fix your gaze on such a beautiful creature. The maid invites the lady to come in quickly, since she made a key to show her this. When the girl entered the room, the maid reports that this room is full of solar diamonds, and such stones store the light of the sun and are mined only in the dragon's cave, and they can also be called little suns, shine and radiance, which does not fade even from the dirtiest hands. Tina says that with a stone from a wedding ring, you can buy a carriage or an entire mansion in the capital, and even with hired servants, you can have fun for about 20 years. At this time, the main character thought that the maid was now talking about the whole room, and it suggests that they probably just kept one pebble. But when Tina opened the second door, the girl saw a tree that was hung with stones. When the girl saw this, she was surprised, and the maid said that she knew that she would like something shiny. Mia thought that she, of course, knew that Dad was rich, but this exceeds all boundaries of wealth. And then she remembers that in the third dream, she only saw a sun diamond once, but she couldn't imagine that she would see a whole tree with them. And it was so amazing that her emotions overwhelmed her. The girl asks the maid where these stones come from, and she explains that they were made 5 years ago, and the lower part of the crown was filled in just recently. Because Mr. Livius tried very hard to find the highest quality solar diamonds. Hearing this, the main character thought about what to say since they might not even know. And then the girl says that these stones are fake and they are all fake. Hearing this, the maid was surprised, and the girl thought that she might have sounded too categorical. She also assumed that they might scold her and say that she doesn't understand anything. But this is 100% fake. Mia says that real sun diamonds have bubbles inside that rotate counterclockwise, but this fake has bubbles that move either chaotically or clockwise. Tina asks Milady if she could wait 1 minute and then explains that she is going to call Mr. Livius. A few minutes later, a surprised butler enters the room and asks the girl if she could repeat what she said to Tina. The girl reports that the stones above may be real, but below are fake stones. And obviously, the one who gave these stones thought that the deception would not be revealed, since an adult would not kneel down and admire them day after day. And children, seeing the lower crown, would not be able to recognize the fake. Tina says in surprise that she cannot believe that someone dared to fool the Dundever family. At this time, the main character thought that Uncle Livius had healed her leg, and therefore she should help him. And then the girl shows winter stones, which are fake. The maid claims that my lady is very smart, and then asks how she managed to distinguish a fake from the original. And at this time, the main character thought that she was unlikely to believe her if she said that she saw a real solar diamond in a dream. Mia replies that this is how she makes money off food, because she eats and spends a lot of money on it. The maid heard this screaming, asking who dared to tell her that, and she answers that uncle and aunt. Tina explains that my lady eats like a bird and it doesn't cost much money. And then she started crying, and the little girl calms her down and tells her not to shed tears because she is beautiful when she smiles. The butler counted the stones and then thanked the girl because they were able to avoid losses, and he said that he would convey to His Highness that it was her merit. Livius explains that usually there is a reward for uncovering such widespread corruption, asks if she would like to receive a reward, and then reports a rather large amount. When this girl heard this, she was surprised and replied that she didn't want to. The main character recalls that the biggest salary she received from the jewelry store in the third dream was quite a bit, and for some nonsense they offer her much more, and she understands that she can make her future on this and become a jewelry appraiser. And she won't end up with clients. Mia is thinking about asking her dad to hire her because the personal appraiser of the Archduchy of Dundever sounds cool. The maid suggests that my lady entrust everything to Mr. Livius and go see the other rooms themselves. The girl says that she would like to look at the room of achievements. However, going up the stairs, she says that they are all circling around this endless mansion, and her head is spinning. Tina reports that they are almost there, and a few minutes later she shows the achievements room. Mia saw a lot of butterflies. And then the maid says that she opens the door and offers to admire as much as your heart desires. And then they explain that the honorable history of Dundevr is kept in this room. Seeing the room, the main character was surprised and thought that it was just like in a museum and she couldn't reach the beautiful flowers. The maid apologizes and then explains that she had to immediately take her in her arms since she was standing so cutely on the chains. She was staring at her. When Tina took the girl in her arms, she thanked her, and then the maid said that she would show her everything. The maid points at the silver bracelet and explains that it is called a cursed piece of metal. After all, when His Highness was about 4 years old, he dealt with the evil spirit clinging to the bracelet and returned the thing back. Tina says it's a cursed doll that stalks its owner in hopes of killing him, and no matter how much I throw it away, it comes back again and again and is a real headache. At this time, the main character noticed that the soldier was not standing at attention, and for some reason he was standing differently. The maid explains that the doll failed to defeat His Highness, and at the age of 7, she became a simple toy in the hands of Mr. Archduke, and that's why the soldier is kept there. Mia asks if Dad was playing with it, and Tina explains that His Highness took on the role of commander and trained the doll. And at that time, the girl thought that she had been afraid in vain. The maid suggests they go to the pile of ashes, and the lady asks if he's damned. The maid explains that as far as she knows, His Highness turned into ashes one vampire who was terrorizing the village, and because of this, demons are revered there even now. Hearing this, Mia thought that Dad loved to engage in the occult as a child, and she was impressed by this. Tina reports that it represents the achievements that His Highness received after becoming an adult, and she shows all these hunting trophies, stuffed heads of the most ruthless monsters and monsters. Seeing this, the little girl says that she is scared, and she hates death, and she remembers that then they cut off her head, and that's why she can hang there too, since Dad even threatened to kill the Emperor himself. The maid calms the girl and explains that they are already dead, and therefore she should not be so afraid. And then he asks if she sees the sword and says that it was with this that His Highness killed all these monsters. When the girl looked at the sword, she thought that such a weapon could only kill her life in an instant, and then she screamed that she didn't want it. Seeing the worried lady, the maid asks her to come to her senses, and then she carried the girl to her room and put her to bed. The Duke, sitting near the bed, asks the maid if his daughter lost consciousness while examining the room of achievements, and then asks how she was feeling. Tina explains that everything was fine during the day, the shadow did not go away completely, but my lady is eating well. And at night, she accidentally found out about this, that before her eyes my lady had fallen asleep by the bed, and when she looked into the chambers, she once again found her sleeping on the floor. At this time, the Duke thought that he had ordered that the girl have enough clothes and food, and he thinks that the bed is probably uncomfortable. The maid says that it seemed to her that my lady was afraid of becoming happier, and then explains that this is just her assumption as a servant, but it seems that the lady does not consider the Dundevr mansion her home, because my lady has never shown greed, and she does not want new toys. Tina suggests that perhaps Milady does not intend to continue living here, or maybe it's because she's just a genius. The Duke thinks for a moment and then asks the maid if she graduated from the Demonic Academy in psychology and received a first-degree educational license. And she replies that this is not enough, but it is the truth. Khalid says that her diploma suits him, and therefore he invites her to take on the child's education. The Duke explains that the daughter is afraid of happiness because she does not know who the demons are, and therefore she must teach her the knowledge of the demonic world and erase everything that Nerafim has hammered into her head. The Archduke claims that demons are very happy creatures. They are honest in their desires and achieve what they want. Even the educational doctrine of demons talks about this, and he cannot believe that a real demon is afraid of happiness, moreover, his child. Khalid reflects on the fact that he raised his sons so that they did not even know about the existence of the word misfortune, and at this time he remembered that he did not know her name. The Duke asks the maid if she knows the name of this child. She is surprised to hear this and then asks what he asked her, and he objects. and then he suggests that when the girl wakes up, give her something sweet and console her. Standing near the bed, Khalid remembers that Livius said that she had no abnormalities, and he thinks there is trauma associated with swords or trophies. And that's why I'll have to look at her tomorrow. The gentleman stayed near the little lady's bed for a little longer, and then covered her and thought that she was very cute. The next morning, the girl was given a lot of goodies for breakfast, and the maid tells her that she should eat well and gain strength. The surprised girl says that she just ate, and Tina claims that there is no such thing as too much delicious food, and she can eat slowly. When Mia filled her cheeks with food, the maid says that now you can look at her. Suddenly, Dad appears in the room, and the surprised girl asks why he appeared so suddenly that her cake fell on her dress, and she thought that suddenly she would be ordered to compensate for the damage. The Duke tells Mia not to worry, and then said that he checked and she really is his daughter. He says that demons are endowed with outstanding intelligence from birth, and Khalid also says that that is why he will ask her a question. The gentleman asks how she knew that she was the daughter of the Dundevre family, and at this time the girl thought whether she should tell her about dreams. After all, to tell the truth, she does not know what is worth revealing and what is better to keep secret, since she has too little information. The main character understands that she must be honest, and then she says that she found out in a dream. Hearing this, the Duke says that it seems that she did not consciously awaken her ability, which means that there will be no need to go to the World Tree to identify a unique gift. Khalid suggests that she dreamed about him, and after that her daughter found out that he was her father and decided to find him. Having heard this, the main character does not understand how he understood everything. Evlan's family register did not include her name, and she explains that she was not considered a person there, and during their first meeting, she didn't even have outerwear. After all, although spring is coming, it's still cool outside. At this time, Mia thought that Dad noticed everything and found out, but she thought that she was not at all interested in him. The father strokes the girl on the head and says that it must have been hard for her. He wonders how she was able to escape and asks about it. As a result, the girl told her dad about her action-adventure movie, embellishing it a little. Since the escape was not easy, Dad must pay her alimony for this. The little lady told her father that she had 4 dreams, and in the last one, she survived. Khalid claims that other dream demons cannot match her talent, and he can't believe that his daughter was able to see the future without even starting to grow. The father explains that a 5-year-old flying demon usually has the physical form of a 10-year-old child, and this is the first stage of growth. But this is not the case with her, and therefore he suggests that she not worry since she is so small due to the pressure of Nerithm's energy, and then he says that if she stays here, she will grow up instantly. Hearing this, the main character understands why she is such a baby, and she would like to become big as soon as possible. The Duke invites the lady to return to the conversation about her strength, and then she says that dream demons can see the future through her, and the stronger the blow, the more long and clear dreams can be seen, and she will only have to choose the best of them. Mia understands that she did not consciously choose the 3rd dream. Well, if she had to choose, she would have stopped at the 4th, where Dad takes care of her and cherishes her and also calls her Mel. At this time, the servant informs his aunt that Count Evelyn has disappeared and there are no clues. Hearing this, the lady says that she doesn't care about this worthless hulk. Then the lady with silver hair screams for them to do whatever they want, but they must find out where Mia is today. Meanwhile, at the Dundevris estate, the maid brought milk to the little lady. But when she saw that the gentleman was in the room, she apologized and said that she was already leaving. The father tells his daughter that it is time for her to go to bed. He also invites her to listen to one last thing and says that usually female demons are sent to the royal palace immediately after birth, and according to the rules, she should too, but her father can let her stay here. The Duke asks his daughter if she wants to go to the palace. However, the girl objects and says that she wants to be close to him, and she doesn't want to go. I don't understand where, because she understands that she can hardly be free in the palace, and only from here will she be able to escape. Dad asks if she will continue to live with him, and the girl waves her head in agreement, and he invites her to call him Dad from now on. Hearing this, the little lady thought that now there was no need to rack her brains over whether it was better to address him as Pope or Archduke. The Archduke says that now he needs to come up with a name for her, and at this time the girl answers that her name is Mia, After all, that's what her aunt called her. Dad says he doesn't like it, and he cannot believe that the Neraphim creature dared to give the name to the descendant Dundiver. And then he says that he will need to think about a new name. I invite my daughter to go to bed and wish her good night. Dad tells the girl not to tell anyone about her dreams anymore, and he explains that this is a rule that the dream demon must follow, and she must remember that her dreams belong only to her. When the main character was left alone in the room, she thought that although she did not choose the fourth dream, here Dad was also affectionate towards her. However, she thinks that she cannot stay there for long, and next time she will have to tell him about her leaving and ask for money. But she should do this only after she receives a new name. Lying in bed, the main character reflects on the fact that the name Mia is the only one that she liked out of what her aunt gave, but she wants more the name that her parents will give, and she thinks that at least this can be greedy. The girl dreams that she wants to buy herself a house, and it may even be dilapidated but small. And she also doubts that they are unlikely to receive a reward for their help with the solar diamonds. After all, she doesn't know how much the advance is, and therefore isn't sure whether it will be enough for the house. Mia looks at the cufflink, and she wonders what kind of stone it is. And she suggests that it might be called a cursed cufflink. The girl understands that she cannot do this, and therefore must go to her dad. And then she looked at one marshmallow and thought she'd take it with her. At this time, the gentleman gathered his subordinates and said that it was necessary to organize children's educational aids for his daughter. The Duke suggests making small popular monsters because he thinks that the daughter passed out in the achievement room because she is not used to these creatures, and when she plays with them, she will stop being so afraid of them. The Lord also says that they should use pure gold as material and precious stones that she likes, because children should play with what they love. Khalid recalls that in his childhood he was looking for various cursed things and artifacts inherited by spirits. And also his firstborn Cayenne had books and able weapons, and he understands that his daughter just likes money and jewelry. Livius does not understand what to do with the reward for identifying the deception and asks His Highness about it. He offers to open a safe in Mi's name and put money in it, and also make storage in the form of a game room. The Archduke does not understand why the butler is surprised, and then explains that what is interesting is that the child, who has not yet reached his height, had 4 distinct dreams. The Duke asks if the butler remembers the past dream demon that controlled the 3-eyed crows, and he explains that his daughter is much stronger than that reckless girl, and the magnitude of her talent is simply colossal. The gentleman says that this is despite the fact that Mia was affected by the energy of Neraphim, and at this time the butler thought that parental love was pouring out of him. Khalid claims that this is simply responsibility for your child and nothing more, and then he says that he will need permission to go to neutral territory. After all, the time for visiting the Tree of Life has already passed. The Tree of Life is one that has existed since the appearance of heaven and earth, and according to legend, its roots grow deep, deep underground, and the branches extend beyond the reachable space. And the Tree of Life knows everything about this world. The demon and Neraphim introduced their children to the tree, and it, in turn, told the child about his fate and abilities. Before entering neutral territory, you must obtain permission to visit in advance, and the butler says that as soon as everything is ready, and at this time, they heard a knock on the door. And then a little girl opens the door and asks if she can see her dad. Seeing his daughter, the Archduke orders everyone to perish, and then invites the girl to come in. The little lady tells Daddy that she brought him something tasty, and he asks why she didn't eat it herself. Mia explains that she wanted Daddy to try sweetie marshmallows, and the Archduke says that it looks appetizing, but there is too much of it, and offers to eat 1/2 for him and the other for her. Dad took a bite of half the marshmallow and offered the other half to his daughter to eat. When the girl ate a piece, she thought that her dad turned out to be a very good demon. Khalid reveals that he plans to announce that she is his daughter very soon. And for this, he will need to leave for several days, and he invites his daughter to eat more while he is away. Dundaver Mansion, and it wanders on the floor, and therefore it is safe in bed. The Archduke tells his daughter that this is her home, and therefore she should not give up anything. Hearing this girl asks if he minds her being here. Khalid doesn't understand why he should be against it, and asks about it. Mia replies that she just appeared suddenly. However, he objects and says that she is endowed with the scent of the Dundovra family, and this means that she is his child. The little lady asks what if she wants to leave and if they suddenly come for her from the royal palace. The father claims that he will not let this happen. And at this time the girl thought that her dad would save her, and she also understood that she would cause him trouble, and he is already a busy man. Dad claims that he will never kick out his baby and invites her to leave all her worries. Mia asks Dad if there is a spirit of fire here. After all, she understands that, to be honest, she got a little confused on the way here. But I followed the path where the candles were burning and came across my father's office. The Archduke explains that, most likely, this manor is very old, and therefore there are many who are hiding in it. And at this time the main character thought that this spirit had told her the way. The little lady realizes that everyone there exudes kindness and warmth, and she wonders if she can truly understand this place as her home. The next day, Tina reports that from today, she is her teacher on the theory of the demonic world and will explain everything step by step so that it is not difficult. At this time, the main character thought that she would like to quickly learn more about demons, since before that it had been hammered into her head that demons were disgusting creatures. The teacher explains that demons are divided into 3 classes, high, medium, and low. The first 2 have a gender, while the last one is born as a hermaphrodite. High-class demons and counting, they also have as many unique abilities. At this time, the girl thought that she was a demon of dreams, and this means that she no longer has any gift. The teacher explains that Dad, for example, is a demon of death, born on the day of voluptuousness, and demons divide the days of the week differently than people do. These are the days of voluptuousness, the day of enchantment, the day of arrogance, the day of anger, the day of idleness, the day of gluttony, the day of emptiness. Tina explains that the birthday affects the character and, for example, Mr. Abel, being born on the day of wrath, is a demon of flame. And a demon becomes so strong when the day of his birth is an ideal combination with a unique gift. Hearing this, the main character remembers that in her dream Abel was weak, or that the poison was so strong that it could finish him off. The girl asks if she has any weaknesses, and Tina replies that demons have no weak points. And my lady wonders if Nerafimi can kill demons. The teacher replies that those scum are a little better than ordinary people. But if the demon is so weak that Nerafim is able to consume it, then it is better to allow himself to be destroyed. At this time, the main character thought that she understood since both Abel and she died in the dream, and therefore she would need to find out about it. Mia wonders what day the maid was born, and she answers that on the day of gluttony, that's why she eats a lot. And no matter how much I eat, I'm still hungry. And then he offers to go eat. Tina reports that her older brother is supposed to come today. The girl was surprised when she heard this, and then choked on her tea. The girl understands that she is not yet ready to look Abel in the face. The teacher calms the girl down and says that everything is okay because all the demons love her. However, the little lady suggests that she should not lie. Tina reports that she has no idea that many demons want to know about her, and only she knows how beautiful she is. Hearing this, the girl hugged her and thanked her for giving her courage. The main character understands that after Tina's words, she begins to feel that she is worthy of receiving love and will feel confident in this house. Suddenly, Mia saw her aunt calling her name and calling the girl to her. For a second, my father's mansion seemed to the main character like the Count's estate Evlan, and at that time the girl thought that it was all a dream. The aunt with silver hair explains that her uncle has disappeared and she now has custody, and then invites the girl to come to her. At this time, the lady thought that she did not want to, because her aunt would beat her. The woman claims that she has no idea how scared she was after the disappearance, and since she was born unnecessarily, she suggests that she not force other people to waste their nerves. Auntie, screaming, asks why she is not sitting in her closet, and at this time Tina asks what she is doing. The woman asks if she can see it, and then explains that these are documents indicating that custody has been transferred to her, and that's why she has to get out of the way. The aunt asks how she even dares to disturb her, who has come to pick up her niece. Suddenly, the little girl saw that blood was flowing from the teacher's head. At this time, the servants ran up to the woman and, screaming, suggested that Milady run to the chambers of His Highness, since only the direct descendants of Dundovra could enter there. And then he says that they will stop this woman. At this time, the girl realizes that everyone got hurt because of her aunt, and she does not understand what is the point of being a dream demon if she is of no use. The main character does not understand where she needs to run and how far so that she never sees her aunt again, and she understands that she is very scared. Suddenly, a man appeared in the room and asked where this scoundrel came from and who she thought she was. A young man with red hair says that it stinks very much in here, and then asks that she wants to die so badly that she decided to come herself. Mia looked at the guy and thought that it was Abel. The guy with red hair claims, turning to his aunt, that he doesn't particularly appreciate her, and then asks if she really thinks she has any power. Abel grabs the woman's face and then says that she injured low-class demons and asks if that's why she decided that everything was allowed to her. And then he says that's why he doesn't like her, because he doesn't know his place. A guy uses magic to throw a woman out of his castle. At this time, the main character thought that even though she was her aunt, the girl did not want anyone to die before her eyes. Abel turns to the girl and asks what kind of tiny creature they have. And then he says that she is just like a feather, and asks if she can speak. Mia claims that she is not a fluffball. Hearing this, the guy says that the fluffy said something, and the girl again claims that she is not a fluffball, but her name is Mia. Abel objects and says that she is a piece of fluff. And then he explains that his father talked about her, but she is even sweeter in person. The little lady asks where Daddy is, and the brother explains that he now has an audience and still needs to go to the Tree of Life, and therefore this will take a long time. And he came instead. The young man does not understand what kind of mess is right at the entrance, and then he claims that there is no order in the house. Hearing this, the servant apologizes. Abel asks if they are tired of living, and he wonders why they didn't cope with this mess. And at this time, Mia thought that her aunt had not died. The young man stands on the maid's leg, and then he says that she is a weakling and that she doesn't want to hang around anywhere near a piece of fluff. And then asks if she can just die. Tina replies that she is very sorry because she is not capable enough. Hearing this, the gentleman says that this is not even condemned, and if the child had suffered, he would not have known what he should have told the king. Abel says that the first girl in the Dunder family was wounded and, moreover, because of a person. Suddenly, the little lady screams enough, and he invites his brother not to behave with Tina, and then explains that she got hurt trying to protect her and is not guilty of anything, and then asks if crime is a weakness. At this time, the main character thought that due to weakness and poverty, she had been oppressed all her life, here and there, in reality and in dreams. The girl understands that she was the weak link and knows that there is nothing illegal in this. Abel saw that the girl was crying and then asked her to stop. And then he claims that weakness is not a crime, although it is bad, of course. Mia, screaming, tells her brother to ask Tina for forgiveness and then calls him a tyrant. The main character does not understand when she became so brave, and at that time, she knew that Abel was not scary at all, and this may be due to the fact that she saw his death in a dream. The young master turns to the maid and asks for an apology. Hearing this, she objects and says that he said everything correctly. Abel says that he will not swear since she still has to clean up. Tina thanks Milady for standing up for a simple servant, and then he says that she will take it as an honor and will keep it in her heart until the end of her days. Seeing the teacher crying, the girl thought that only crybabies lived here. And she realizes that now is not the time to shed tears, since everyone is injured, and then asks where they are getting treatment here. However, the maid does not understand what she is talking about, and the girl explains that there should be some bandages and medicine, and then asks if there is a first aid post or hospital. The servants do not understand what Milady is talking about, since they are hearing these words for the first time. Mia asks what they do when they are sick, and the surprised servants answer that they simply die, since it's better that way than being a burden to everyone. Having heard this girl thinks that something is wrong there, and this house is somehow wrong, and she understands that they treated her leg and did not talk about death. The little lady screams that they are somehow wonderful, and then she takes bandages and binds the wounded servants. Mia asks the teacher why there are no defenders in the mansion. After all, it seemed to her that her aunt had entered through the main door, and therefore it was strange that in such a huge estate there was not a single night guard. Tina explains that this was not necessary before. Since everyone can fend for themselves anyway, and they didn't think about it, they would need protection. The girl understands that this is understandable, since after all, Dad and brothers are very strong, and they are simply flaunting their power, moreover, by invading. The main character reflects on the fact that she is weak, and that's why she got it. And then she says that she also wants to become stronger. Mia asks the maid how much more sleep she needs to sleep to grow up, and she replies that it's only 10 nights. The girl thinks that she shouldn't leave yet, since she couldn't cope even with her aunt if she were alone. And she also wants to grow up quickly to become a strong and confident demon. The little lady doesn't understand why she suddenly feels dizzy, and at this time Tina claims that she is all on fire. Mia says it's nothing and she just needs to rest a little. And at that time I thought that she was very frightened because of her aunt's sudden visit, and she understands that if she leaves here, they will come for her again. Suddenly the girl does not understand where she is and sees that she is in the banquet hall. And then I thought that she was in a dream. The main character understands that it is better to become a fallen demon than to live like this, and she can also go to the Sky Island. Suddenly the girl heard a conversation about how Dunder's daughter was not a priority, and that any girl here could be grabbed. And the other man replies that he is right, because it will be even easier, and all they have to do is break in at the same time. The main character understands that this could be the future, and therefore she needs to listen, because perhaps it will come in handy later. But suddenly the girl was noticed, and at that time she was constantly trying to shout to her dad through the open door. And at this time she does not understand anything, because her heart is beating like crazy, and a hurricane of anger is raging in her soul. Mia thinks that this is a betrayal, and Abel suggests that the Fluffy run away. He says that death will get out of control, and when the father closes his eyes, everyone who is there will die, and therefore he asks to leave quickly. However, the girl objects and says that she is not going anywhere, because she understands that Dad and Abel have nothing to do with it, but someone else is to blame. Abel asks the butler if he is crazy, and at this time, Livius thought that he had messed up somewhere. And then he remembered that he had almost settled the matter regarding the sun diamonds, how he is abruptly abducted by a tiger. The butler asks Mr. Abel what he means, and he asks who allowed him to leave his post, and then he explains that since his father is not here, that means that he must be in place. Hearing this, Livius does not understand why he is getting hit on the hat, because Mr. Abel and his sacred fire beast, both of them are not in the best mood. The butler thinks that something might have happened to my lady and then asks about it. Abel claims that his ingenuity works and therefore orders him to follow him. The young master came to Mia's room, and the maid told him that my lady's fever had subsided, and then he tells her to come out. At this time, Abel thought that no one had spoken to him like that before. After all, he understands that he was surprised even by the very appearance of his younger sister. And suddenly, he finds a female demon who gives him orders. The young master tells the maid that he heard that she can handle all sorts of devices, and she answers that she's not perfect, but yes. The young man says that he gives her 3 days to place mines along all the corridors of the floor where Fluffy's bedroom is located, and so that only our own people can get through. Tina replies that she understands. Abel also says that she should do this later in the garden, especially under the window of the Fluff, and that all the little idiot serenaders who show up to her will die before they have time to open their mouths. The young master turns to another servant and says that he knows that he is good in hand-to-hand combat, and therefore he must protect the Fluff, and if it suddenly falls into danger, then he must hold out until he arrives, or die. The master orders the maid who knows how to draw Fluff every day and then bring the paintings to him. At this time, Abel thought that the younger sister would be annoying, but in reality he did not want anyone to kill or steal her, and went out. She needed to be protected. The older brother is sure that not a single suitor will touch his beloved sister, and then he screams, telling the servants that if something happens to his little sister, they will all die. The maid heard this, screaming, saying that she could sacrifice her life better than Ben, and therefore she was even ready to lie down on the floor every morning so that Milady would walk on her. Suddenly, the main character woke up and thought that she had some strange dreams, and they were about the future. And nothing will happen if she makes the right decision. Near the bed, the girl saw a tiger, and then asks where he came from. She doesn't understand how such a big and cute cat got here, because it seemed to her that they did not have such an animal at home. However, Mia remembers that it was he who then showed her the way to her father's room, and then he thanks him and invites him to sleep together. The big cat lay down next to the girl, and she thought that he was so cute and soft. The girl reflects on the fact that from the beginning it was very scary, but now it has become easier when the cat is nearby. Cat Aiton reports to the master that the girl woke up in the middle of her sleep, but he put her to bed and the girl liked his weapon of killer cuteness. Hearing this, the gentleman stroked the cat and also praised her. The next morning, servants entered the lady's room and reported that he was a man. His name was Ben, and the girl was Dory. Surprised, Mia asks where Tina is. Ben answers that she was given 3 days off, and she'll have a good rest and then come back, and also the lower the demon's class, the more resistant he is to injury. Hearing this, the main character thought about what it meant for them to have no bandages. Everything is healing calmly, and they didn't say anything on purpose when she bandaged them. The girl reflects on the fact that Ben and Dory have had to deal with unnecessary troubles because their aunt hurt Tina, and everyone suffers because of her. Dory asks the girl if she is worried, and then she says that Tina will recover quickly thanks to her. After all, high-class demons are very strong, but their wounds do not heal well, and therefore she must be careful. The maid explains that they keep middle-class demons around them, and among them there are many who have the gift of healing, and Mr. Livius has the most powerful healing gift among the demons of his class. At this time, Abel entered his sister's room and asked what Fluffy was doing. Upon hearing, this girl objects and then says that she is not a fluffball. The young master says that he will agree with her when she speaks better, and then he calls her Fluff again and says that she has a beautiful dress today. The girl replies that she is not a piece of fluff and her dress is beautiful. Abel says that she has pink hairpins that match the color of her dress. And at this time, Mia thought that she was still in such a mess in her soul at the sight of Abel, and he was mocking her. Sitting at the meal, the cook wishes the girl a bon appetit, and then he says that he can't believe that my lady is trying his dishes, and after this, he is Jotun. He is ready to become the Minotaur's dinner. Hearing this, the lady thought that all demons express themselves strangely. Brother asks Fluffy if she's bored sitting at home, and the girl says everything is fine, and he invites her to go for a walk. Mia reports that she doesn't want to, and her brother asks why. The girl explains that there are goodies at home, and Abel claims that there are even more of them in stores, and then asks if she's ever tried strawberry shortcake with cream and marshmallows. Milady says that, secondly, there are many dangerous people on the streets, and he asks if she is afraid of people, and he wonders who scared her. The girl looked at her brother and then asked if he would be angry. Abel asks why she says that, and the lady replies that it seemed so to her. The brother invites his sister to trust people with him and explains that he will not let them get close to his sister. And then he asks if there is another point, but when the girl did not answer, he suggested going. Abel says that he wanted to kill the precious one to buy her if they go for a walk. Hearing this, the girl became interested, and he explains that he knows that his sister likes pebbles, and that's why he thought of going to the jewelry store. Mia thought that she should have started with this. After all, she would have agreed immediately, and then invites him to go. The young master reports that she is a mercantile baby, and at that time I thought that this was a good word. And then he explains that in the demonic world this is considered a compliment, and even couples like to call each other that. Abel explains that demons have a lack of commercialism, a lack of charm, and the ability to calculate a situation well, and taking advantage of it is considered very attractive. Hearing this, the main character thought that she would have to call her dad that. While they were riding in the carriage, the little lady asked how strong her brother was. And at that time I thought that Count Evelyn was definitely weaker than Abel, and she understands that Evelyn has disappeared and the possibility cannot be ruled out that he may show up again. The brother asks if he seems weak to her, and the girl objects and then explains that this is not true at all. Abel says that he is in 37th place in the demonic ranking, and then asks if she knows how difficult it is to get to that position at his age, and the little lady says she doesn't know, and he says it's better not to know. Mia asks how strong Dad and Cain are, and at this time I thought that she was interested in finding out about her brother, because they had never met. The young master explains that Cain is shocked. After all, he crushed all the strong demons in the area, and as soon as he reached the first stage of growth. And then in just 1 month he awakened his strength and took 10th place in the ranking. Abel says that brother is a demon of darkness who was born on the day of arrogance. And you can even say that the brother is more graceful than the father, and he's just like a night trickster. Mia asks what Cayenne looks like, and he says that no words can describe his brother because he is simply the best, and then she will see it herself. The young master says that the father is in second place, and the girl wonders who is in first, and he answers that he is the king. Hearing this, the girl wonders if the demons have a king. Abel answers that it's clear, because it's the same as choosing a god on a heavenly island. And then he asks if she knows about the agreement of Demon Rephaim, which was signed 7,000 years ago. The girl replies that she has not heard anything about it, and he announces that today he will be her teacher. And then he explains that the world was originally divided into 3 parts: a demonic world where demons live, the heavenly world where Nerafim is located, and the central world inhabited by humans and other races. However, 7,000 years ago, a large-scale war broke out between the demons and Nerafim, resulting in the destruction of both worlds. Those who survived gathered on neutral territory where the world tree stands. Abel reports that a Demon Rephaim agreement was concluded there, which called for an end to the war. The 2 races decided to expand the central world, and ultimately they got the world they have now. Hearing this, the main character thought that there was no need to fight at all. The young master says that the offspring of Nerafim declared that they would not set foot on the ground and created a heavenly island for themselves. And the girl asks if he is hanging right in the sky. The brother says that this required a lot of sacred power, which grows from faith, and so they put their lives on the line in order to increase the number of believers. And they demons, of course, are majestic, but they are not so picky, so they decided to live with people. Hearing this, the girl does not understand from what moment female demons became so precious, and then asks if the king of the demons is a woman. Abel says that this is obvious, since she has been in first place in the ranking of demons for 7,000 years. After all, her brother is in 10th place, and all demons from 3rd to 9th place are women. Male demons, weak from birth, and father and brother are simply special. Mia asks if she will become stronger than him when she grows up, and the brother says that this is still a long way off, and then he calls her Fluff and suggests that she first learn to pronounce words clearly. The girl reports what he will see, as she will instantly grow up, and at that time she thought that she wanted to be stronger than Abel in order to protect him. When they arrived in the city, the young gentleman invites his sister to go to her favorite stones, and then says that he will buy her at least all the jewelry. Hearing this, she thought that everything was not needed, since what was valuable was what was not found anywhere else. The girl says that she remembered her log, and at that time I thought that she had left him in the Evlan estate. Surprised, Abel asks what kind of log it is, and the lady explains that this is her friend. He asks in surprise if the log was her friend, and then he suggests not to worry because he will buy her a precious log. The young master claims that she will have the same log only made of precious stones. Hearing this, the girl agreed with him, and at that time she thought that she needed to say goodbye to the rotten ancient one because she thought that they needed to part. When they entered the store, they were met by a salesman who, screaming with delight, announced that an idol of demons and their role model had come to them. Abel reports that he wants to buy a gift for his sister. Hearing this, the seller says that his sister is a magnificent creature. Hearing this, the young master says that he was ready to tear out his magnifying glasses for noticing him alone. The man explains that his eyes were so blinded that he could not immediately look in Milady's direction, since she was just like the scorching sun. And then he greets my lady and informs her that he is an employee of this jewelry store. Hearing this girl asks if the man's name is. Her brother invites him to say his name. The seller says that his name is Philip, and he is a man who has received the patronage of His Highness the Archduke Dundouvre. The little lady reveals that her name is Mia. At this time, the main character thought that it turns out that there are not only people who receive the protection of Nerafim, but also those who are protected by demons. Abel invites Fluffy to take a look, and then asks if he should buy her everything. The little lady looks at the jewelry with delight and thinks that they are luxurious and elegant, but too grown up. And therefore, she doesn't want it yet. But Abel is so eager to give her a gift, then maybe at least one. Mia points to the small horse. Hearing this, the brother asks where her demonic greed is. Philip explains that this is the most expensive item in their store. At this time, Abel thought that she had chosen the right thing wisely. The lady asks why he is the most expensive. The seller explains that this pony was made by a high-class demon and even has a unique ability within it. Abel explains that demons can impart their power to stones that are naturally combined with them, and says that, for example, a ruby suits him. The little girl offers to show him since she wants to see. However, her brother assures her that it is too dreary, and the lady tells him to say that he can't, and then says that Abel is a weakling. The young master tells Philip to bring here the most expensive ruby jewelry he can find. And then he objects and says that he will choose himself and invites the fluff to wait a little. At this time, the girl thought that he was a simpleton. At this time, Mia looks at the decoration and thinks that the demon who made this miracle is very beautiful. And inside, it's as if I'm flying sparkling petals that warm her soul. There is also a sweet aroma in it, and therefore it will be necessary to find the demon who made this beauty. Abel tells the seller not to let anyone know that he bought that horse, and then threatens to kill his children. Hearing this, Philip excitedly says that he understood everything. At this time, the young master thought about the power of temptation, and he does not understand why it was he who did this thing out of spite. The demon world is divided into the royal family, the archduchy, and the 3 duchies. The Beelzebub family is considered the exact opposite of Dundever, especially their 10-year-old offspring who have completed the first stage of growth. And this guy is covered from head to toe with pheromones of temptation, and he is also a rare, rude person. Abel ponders the fact that he should not be allowed to meet their fluff. A little girl asks her brother where he is stuck, and at this time he thought that he smelled of sweets, since the aroma of Dundever itself is sweetish, but the fluff gives off a softer and unobtrusive smell and just like marshmallows. Mia asks her brother if everything is okay, and he says everything is fine, just a headache. At this time, I thought that this scent would surely attract many demons during her growth. Abel knows that if the fluff was in the royal palace, he would not be so noticeable due to the pressure of the royal smell. And besides, the palace has various protective devices installed and guards posted, which makes it safe. The young master does not understand why his father decided to leave the fluff at home anyway, and he understands what this means. He must protect her. The brother reports that he will break the legs and tear out the spine of anyone who dares to get close to his fluff. And then he suggests watching carefully, because they simply don't show something like this. The young master tells the man to close his eyes and look away. Abel says his power is fire, and then asks if she knows that. And then he tells her to believe that he is concentrating her at one point, and the main thing is that the power does not spread out. The brother says that he only needs one touch and voila, he has a beautiful decoration in his hands. Seeing this, the surprised girl asks that when she grows up, will she be able to do the same? And he replies that she can do this too, but she just needs to grow up and awaken first. Mia picked up the jewelry and thought that it was beautiful and warm, and even she couldn't believe that she could touch such a miracle, since she had always shivered from the cold before. Abel invites the girl to take it and says that this decoration is now hers, and she can also consider this his gift in honor of becoming his sister. The young master invites Philip to bring to him all the hairpins that are suitable for children. Seeing this, the girl thought that there was a pile of stones again, and she realized that jewelry was too unreliable and an investment, and this was not good. And suddenly she says that she liked the butterfly. The brother asks in surprise how she can like a thing that doesn't have a single stone in it, and she replies that they will not fall in price, because it is something simple and therefore will always be in fashion. Hearing this, Abel smiled and said that she was truly a mercantile demon, and it was immediately clear whose daughter she was. The girl reports that they also have a lot of butterflies at home, and probably this is their symbol. And the brother asks, no one has told her about this yet. The young master reports that the butterfly is considered a distinctive feature of Dundev, and if she sees a flag with a butterfly somewhere, she should know that this is their family. Abel explains that it's the same with other demonic families, and he suggests that she not take it into her head, since she still won't remember them all with your tiny head. And she says that this is not necessary because the Dundever are still the best, and she can simply ignore everyone except the king. At this time, the girl thought that she wanted to remember all the families that Abel named. The brother invites the girl to go, and at that time she thought that she was not yet completely accustomed to such a good life, but she had definitely stopped trembling with fear, and all things seemed very exciting to her. At this time, the boy thought that it seemed that his alicorn had found its owner, The next morning when the girl woke up, she saw Dad next to her bed, asking how his daughter was doing. The girl hugs her dad and says that she missed him. The Archduke apologizes for not being able to come earlier, and she says it's okay because he's very busy. The father says that he heard that Nerefim's servant had broken into the house, and then he apologizes for not being there because she was very scared. And the daughter explains that not at all, because Abel was nearby. Khalid says that he has a brave and generous daughter, and then pats her on the head. Dad reports that in about 2 days they will go to the World Tree, and there she will find out what day she was born. She wonders if he will go with her and asks about it. The father says that they will ride together, and by standing in front of the tree, she can call on her spirit companion, and this creature will be faithful to her until death, and can consider him a part of herself, because with him, no Nerefim servants will be able to harm her. At this time, the girl thought that Dad also had a companion, and then a red-haired lady appears behind him, and he says that she asked so much that she couldn't even stand it. The father says that this woman's name is Hela, and she is his companion, and when Mia saw it, she thought that the butterfly was a symbol of their family, and then she hugged her. Dad says that the companions do not speak their language, and yet in their dimension they communicate differently. The girl asks about what the World Tree is calling them from another dimension, and he says it's like Togo. At this time, the main character thought that she wanted to have a companion as soon as possible, and even if she runs into her uncle, he will be able to protect her. And she thinks that with a companion, she will not be so anxious. Mia thought that she would like to tell Dad what she saw in her dream, but still suggests that there is no point in disturbing him. The daughter asks her father that if the companions do not know their language, how to talk to them. The father replies that the master can mentally communicate with his companion because their minds are linked together. And she has no idea what a chatterbox Hela is. After all this time, she does not stop talking and say that she is the sweetest and most charming girl. Mia claims that elves are also beautiful and cute. And at that time, the girl thought that she had relaxed too much because it seemed to her that her father's face had become somehow serious. The daughter lay down in her bed and said that she wanted to sleep, and her father suggested that she not worry about anything and close her eyes. At this time, the girl thought that her dad was quite affectionate with her, and he might not like it if she fooled around too much. The main character reflects that because of all the love she is given here, she completely forgot that she came here as an uninvited guest. The father says that serving her is glory and joy for the Dundever family, and therefore she does not need to be afraid. At this time, Abel comes into the room and his father invites him to go to another place and shows with his finger that he should be quieter, since his sister is sleeping. A guy with red hair asks his father how the palace is and how his brother, whom he hasn't seen for a long time, is doing and even begins to miss him. Dad replies that he will come to his sister's birthday, and so will the king and queen. Abel says that he didn't want to look at him every time, as if he wanted to devour him as quickly as possible. At this time, Khalid thought that no matter how you look at it, the sons are completely different. And he understands that there is something special about his daughters. After all, she is not afraid of him. The Archduke reflects on the fact that since ancient times, it has been established that all living creatures are afraid of the power of death that he wields. And now he can restrain her, but in childhood she often got out of control. And what happened then is still on everyone's lips. The father understands that his sons were similar to him in this regard, and they are not as calm as Mia. And then she remembers that she immediately rushed into his arms as soon as he appeared in her room. And she wasn't at all worried that he might not catch her. Khalid thought that his daughter is the sweetest and best in the world, and he wants the whole world to know about it. And then he thought that he didn't want this because Mia was theirs and no one else's. The Archduke reflects on the fact that he ordered Abel to keep an eye on his daughter, but he cannot entrust such a valuable treasure to this brat, because he knows that they went for a walk while he was away and it infuriates him. Dad turns to his son and invites him to catch one minotaur. Hearing this, the young man does not understand what kind of task this is. The father explains that he wants to make energy pills for Mia, and his son invites him to go himself because Hela will kill the minotaur with one blow. And then he says that he doesn't want this because he will play with the fluff. Hearing this, Dad thought that this was Mia's nickname, and he called her that without his knowledge. Abel claims that their fluff is Mia and asks if he really didn't know that. Khalid thought that he knew this, but did not assume that this bastard knew about it, and she thought that she should throw him out as soon as possible. But first, he will make sure that he suffers and throws him into the palace, whatever monster is stronger. The Archduke says that he heard Nerifim's servant came here with a document transferring custody of the child. Abel replies that she began to rattle here with her papers and threatened to take Mia away, and then asks what he will do. The son says that he believes that the Evlen family has already lived enough, and then, with the help of magic, he moves to their palace, and after that everything burns. During this time, the servants try to protect him and scream that he is a sad and vile demon. They ask how dare he invade God's house. Then they say that he must pay. Abel tells them to listen to him, because the interesting thing is that they started all this themselves. He needs to find out how his sister lived, and therefore they must disappear. However, the servants claim that he will not go further. And at this time, a guy with red hair walks near them and they are consumed by fire. His father invites him to go to the end of the corridor, and he says that his daughter lived in this nook. When they opened the door, they saw a dirty room on the floor in which there were many sheets of paper. When Abel read about the fact that she devoured her mother, at first he did not understand what kind of crap was written. The Archduke explains that on that day he caught Count Evan and found out how Mia was born, and how she lived and what kind of treatment she received. Abel claims that after this, an easy death obviously does not await them, and the eternal fear of death cannot be hidden from him and cannot be escaped. And let this house enter the endless cycle of death, and its walls be filled with ghosts. The next day, the main character reflects on the fact that today she will go to the World Tree. But before she opened her eyes, she thought that it seemed like someone was looking at her. At this time, Dory tries to capture exactly this scene in the picture because her soul as an artist rejoices. The main character does not understand what they are doing, and she does not know if she can move when they are drawing her. Dory says with delight that she has tiny feet and wants to touch them just once. And Ben claims that after such a dose of hammers, he is ready for the most terrible death. At this time, the girl thought that she could not listen to this anymore, and then opened her eyes. Tina wishes her good morning and then explains that she is finally back from vacation. Seeing Tina, Mia is happy and asks if she is feeling better. The maid replies that it is all thanks to her. She feels good. Ben says that it is time for him to report to His Highness that his daughter has gotten up. The maid says that she will prepare everything for washing. When the girl was left alone in the room, she saw a folded paper under table A and decided to look. And when she opened it, she thought that it was only she who was more beautiful that time. And she's just like an angel, or more correctly, a little demon. Suddenly, the girl raised her head and hit the table, and at that time Tina entered the room and saw, and then, screaming, she asked if she had hurt herself. The maid reports that my lady was hurt, and hearing this, a basin of water fell into Ben. Seeing this, the main character thought that the basin for washing was probably very expensive, and the maid says that she will immediately call Mr. Livius and return. At this time, many servants gathered near the girl's door and, screaming, asked if she had broken anything, and it was clear on their faces that they were worried. And then Tina comes into the room and reports that Mr. Livius will come soon. And she took the girl in her arms and thought that they were envious because she could hold the cutest creature in her arms. Livius comes into the room in his pajamas and says that he has already arrived, and then asks where my lady's head hurts. Mia says that she hit her forehead, and the butler claims that it could be a concussion, and therefore she should let him look. At this time, the main character thought that she had just hit her forehead slightly, and she doesn't understand why everyone is so worried because she feels uncomfortable. Livius reports that an area for a horn has appeared on her head. Hearing this, the servants say that she will soon have horns, and they are delighted with this. And one of the servants claims that he cannot believe that he happened to see the process of growth of horns on a female demon. At this time, the Archduke enters the room and asks what they just said. The daughter explains that she has a den area, and at that time I thought that she didn't know what it was, but it was probably something grandiose. The gentleman reports that today is a holiday in their house, and Tina says that my lady is the most irresistible today. Hearing this, the girl thanks her and then asks that when the lair area appears, then why are there celebrations? The maid replies that Mr. Abel and Mr. Kane had them too. Tina says that she feels like His Highness treats her a little more specially, and she noticed it as he smiled at her cuteness. Mia turns to Ben and asks if she can have her pony, and then he says that when she stands in front of the World Tree, she should not tremble, and she should greet him. Abel asks Fluff why she was stuck for so long, and the girl replies that she is ready, and when she saw her brother, she thought that this outfit made him look very beautiful, and then she reported that he was very popular. Abel heard this and said with delight that his popularity was like air. Hearing this girl thought that this meant that her brother was not at all popular, and she did not expect it, and even felt sorry for him somehow. When they were riding in the carriage Mia asks Abel if Nerifim's servants will be there too. The young master replies that they will know about it when they arrive, and he tells the girl not to worry, because if a fight breaks out on neutral territory, the World Tree will stretch out its branches and drive away the rowdies. The little lady says that means the tree is very big. Abel explains that, to be more precise, it is a creature from another dimension that has taken the form of a tree. The main character thought about whether her World Tree might hate her, because she is a demon born from a holy virgin, and you never know what she will consider strange. And she also doesn't want to be rejected or unloved anymore. The father strokes the girl's hair, and at that time she thought that this love and care would never end. And at that time she thought that she had become too greedy, and she would not want the World Tree to drive her away. A few minutes later they found themselves near a large tree. Sitting in the carriage, the girl does not understand why the leaves sparkle. The father explains that these leaves contain all the lights and worlds, and indeed they are not considered real jewels, and then invites her to take it for herself. And when the girl took the leaf, she thought that it was very soft, and then she told her dad that she wanted to sell these leaves because she thought that a lot of money could be made from them. Hearing this, Abel laughed, and the surprised main character does not understand why he is laughing and asking about this. The guy with red hair explains that he is just laughing because she is the first demon who has come up with such an idea in several thousand years. And at that time, the girl thought that she had said something wrong. Abel, smiling, says that his sister is simply obsessed with money. And of course, it is absolutely normal for demons to go crazy over money. Archduke says they may have a great entrepreneur in their family. And according to him, she knows a lot about money, because from the sale of the leaves of the World Tree there will be no losses, only one profit. Mia claims that she didn't think that far as the leaves are simply very beautiful, so she thought why not use them for bookmarks or as decoration for dresses. Khalid claims that she thought about the purpose of the product, and therefore his daughter is a real genius. She also says that her idea is good and asks if she will try it. At this time, the main thing I thought was that Dad might be checking on her, since his look suggests that he is ready to support her as much as he wants. Mia says that she wants to be useful and for Dad to recognize her. When they approached the tree, a man met them and then greeted them and said that they were on neutral territory. Archduke Dundev says that they want to know on what day their daughter was born. The man says that Mr. Dundevra previously contacted them and therefore invites him to pass. Abel tells the girl that these people in robes are monks studying here, and those that go on the right side are the servants of Nerifim. Mia saw a boy in a white cloak and wondered who he was, and she is also sure that he looked at her. The monk says that everything is ready, and my lady should approach the tree alone. Suddenly, the boy pushes the girl and tells her to get out of the way as he is the first descendant of the Jiriel family. Abel saw this and got angry and said that he was a freak. At this time, the main character thought that if there was a fight, they would be kicked out. And then she tells her brother that there is no need to say anything. Abel angrily says that the turkey hit her. However, the girl claims that she will figure it out herself. Mia thought that this also made her angry since he deliberately pushed her. The little lady turns to the guy and says that he must ask for forgiveness because he pushed her. Hearing this, the guy asks why she has such a pronunciation, but she insists that he apologize. The young master turns to the monk and claims that they were the first, and he does not understand why he is letting these nasty demons through out of turn. The man replies that they are late. However, the boy replies that they are only half an hour late and then asks who is here on time. Mia says they were on time and then calls the boy a stupid moron. Hearing this, the guy is surprised and asks what she just called him. And the girl asks what the problem is if he doesn't have enough time. At this time, the main character understands that the world tree will not drive them out like this, since this is just a verbal skirmish and you can add a little heat. The young master claims that he is not a stupid idiot, and then he explains that their family is the first, and he does not understand why they should yield to demons. At this time, the lady thought that he himself was late and what's more, and then she gives him an ass. At this time, I thought that she would no longer allow herself to be offended. Suddenly, the boy saw that he was bleeding from his nose, and his mother claims that they will not turn a blind eye to such rudeness because this young rude person uses violence, and their son says he can't stand demons. Khalid asks if her son didn't push his daughter first, and then he says that the girl gave them a chance to apologize but received a refusal. The boy's father is surprised that he did not hear that he has a daughter. Archduke Dundavra says if they apologize, then so be it, and he will forgive such impudence towards his child, and if not, then upon returning to the Sky Island they will see a letter from him with a warning. The father invites his son Maximilian to apologize. However, the boy does not want to do this and asks who they are, and then he reminds his father that he did not speak in front of anyone, not to lower his head. Hearing this, Khalid says that children are like that. The boy's father bows to the girl and then apologizes for the fact that his son almost hurt her. At this time, the girl thought that at some time she wanted the same silver hair as this boy, but now they don't make much of an impression on her. Mia approaches Maximilian and tells him to forgive her too, and then he says that he started bleeding and he must be in pain. Archduke Dundavra says that it seems that the Giriel family missed the mark this time with offspring, because such tiny, sacred power is not enough to take one of the 8 seats at the round table. The little lady looked at the woman who was crying and thought that although this was someone else's mother, she didn't want her to cry, and therefore it was better to end their quarrel. The daughter tells her father that she will go to the tree. The monk tells her to stand in front of the tree and extend her hand, and then it will speak to her. Mia touched the tree and heard a voice saying that she was a beautiful child. The tree says that she is a dream demon born on the day of enchantment, and he has not seen such a good combination for a long time. The voice says that she is a darling, and that is why he loves the children born on this day, because they are all as charming as she is. And the most charming thing is when she herself is not aware of her charm. The girl turns to the tree and asks if maybe she has her own companions. He replies that the demonic companion reflects the source of its master's power. His voice says that her father, for example, is Hela, and she represents the power of death, and her companion will be associated with the power of dreams, and he can't wait to see what form he will take. And the main character reflects on the fact that this is another dimension in which companion spirits live, and so she thinks she might want to take a walk around the area. The girl sat on a cloud and rose above the ground. However, she does not understand how she can find her companion in such a huge space, and then she remembers that she took her pony with her. The girl asks the little horse to find her a cute creature with whom she will watch happy dreams. Suddenly, the main character found herself on a big horse, which says that he came from afar to meet her, and also offers to give him the greatest name. I heard that the girl was confused because she hadn't thought about the name at all. The horse says that anything will do, and then explains that this is the only way they can be together. Mia understands that if she doesn't name him, he will disappear. And then she calls him Sugar. And she quickly came up with this name because he is as white as sugar. The main character understands that Mel and Sugar are a sweet couple, and she also understands that Dad hasn't called her that yet, but she's already seen it in a dream, and it will be their sugar-coated secret. The horse says it has a good name and she likes it, and then claims that he is now her sugar. The girls came to Dad with the horse and said that she had sugar. The father says that this is a baby alicorn. Heard this, she thought that this was not an easy horse, but an alicorn. Abel asks his dad about the fact that there were no alicorns yet, and then he turns to Fluffy and says that she is the first with alicorn. The girl thought that she had an amazing companion, and she doesn't understand how the connection between them is formed. The horse explains that they have been waiting for their owners since the moment they were born. They wait, and finally find it. Mia asks that he must have been very lonely, and then he says that it's okay, since they have already met. Abel asks Fluffy in surprise why this horse neighs so much. The girl explains that she is not laughing, but talking. She doesn't know anything, but is already saying something. Mia asks her father if he saw the boy in the robe. And at that time, I thought that he was definitely looking at her. Abel asks in surprise if anyone was here. Hey, he wonders if his father singled him out, and then he says that since they are all gathered, they can eat wherever they are. A boy with red hair claims that he knows a cool place, and at this time, the girl does not understand why she felt so sad about this. The lady remembers a guy whose hood showed only his lips, and they were very beautiful. Sugar informs his mistress that he will return to her at the first call. At this time, the young master was surprised because she was able to notice him. She also had a pleasant honey aroma. The boy in the robe thought that he specifically borrowed this artifact from the king so that people would not gather around him, and he doesn't think he's broken. After all, he saw a female demon for the first time. The Dunders had a daughter. The boy thinks that if the girl is from the royal palace, then he couldn't not know her. After all, last time he did not hear the words of the world tree well, as he was distracted by his companion. And the guy in the robe thought about what he needed to listen to again, and then he approached the tree because it was the very prophecy according to which he would kill them. During lunch, Abel invites his father to go get a gift for Fluffy in honor of the arrival of his companion. Dad says that of course it is necessary, and then asks why he is ahead of his father. The young master replies that he is simply one step behind him, and Khalid says that he raised him to be a cunning man, but it was probably worth a good show. However, the son claims that he likes cunning. The father turns to his daughter and asks if she wants anything, and then asks if he should bring her the imperial head. Hearing this, the girl thought about why she needed it. The father says that the stuffed animal he will make is only so-so. The Archduke asks his daughter if she should catch any Nerafim servant as a slave, and at that time she thought that Dad was joking, and then she says that she understood, because these are jokes among demons. Khalid says that he was joking, but his son claims that he is completely serious, and then he says that he received a gift when he summoned his companion baby wyvern. They are usually the size of their mansion, and he almost died trying to control his gift. Abel explains that he couldn't get home for a whole week. Hearing this girl thought that she could not stand being without a home for so long, and then she says that she will just say what she wants. Mia turns to her dad and says that she wants to study since there is still a lot she doesn't know about both the demonic world and her abilities. The little lady muses that she doesn't even want to think about it, but assumes that Daddy might have another daughter, and maybe she will turn out to be much more beautiful and talented than her, and that's why she needs to try harder. The father asks his daughter what exactly she wants to learn. She replies that she wants to get to know the demonic world better, so she can use her dreams about business too. Dad says then she needs qualified teachers, and so tomorrow he will introduce her to the best teachers. Hearing this, Abel was surprised, and then said that she was strange and did not understand why Fluffy didn't ask for her favorite brownies. She replies that she will earn a lot of money and will buy everything herself. The Archduke claims that he has a far-sighted daughter, and at this time the girl thought that she was greedy, since a couple of pebbles would not be enough, and she will become the one who will rule the entire jewelry market. Lying in her bed, the main character thought that a lot of cool things happened today, but most of all, she is glad that she met Sugar, who will always be by her side. Suddenly, a pony appears next to the lady, and she says that she wants to sleep with him in her arms. The main character understands that Sugar will not be able to climb onto the bed, and therefore it is better for them to sleep on the floor. Pony claims that the floor is hard, and the girl will be uncomfortable on it, and she says that it will be uncomfortable for him too. Suddenly, the Sugar turned into a toy and says that this way they can talk, even in this guise, and invites the girl to climb back into the crib. The next morning, Tina reports that they have made a study room out of the empty rooms on the first floor, and she hopes that the mistress will like it. When Mia entered the room, she saw a tree under which a beautiful girl with lilac hair was sitting. The lady offers to meet and calls her name Neve as Lilith, and reports that she came here at the request of His Highness. And she will also tell her about the demonic world and teach her how to use her unique ability. Mia asks the lady if she is a female demon, and she reports that the girl speaks correctly, since she is the daughter of Lilith. The main character then greeted the lady and said that her name was Mia Dundever. Lilith replies that she is glad to meet her, and she hasn't seen female demons for a long time. And Lilith also does not understand how such a sweet creature could be oppressed in the family of Nerafim's servants. Hearing this, the girl thought that the teacher already knew about her. Lilith reports that she does not know where to start with her, And then he suggests starting with the 4 main curses of demons. The teacher explains that prominent high-class demons are having a sexual swearing moment. And then they name the 4 main demonic curses, and this is a saint, a good girl, a sissy, and a parent of problems. Lilith suggests paying special attention to the latter, since it is very offensive and therefore must be remembered well, whether it be a demon servant of Neraphim or an offended person. This curse works for everyone. The lady claims that her father is Teacher of the Year, and in this regard he has real talent, because he was chosen as the best parent of the year every year while raising Abel. And she doesn't understand how to cope with such a brat, because he once even blew up the royal palace. Hearing this, the little lady claims that this cannot be done, and Lilith says that the queen herself abandoned his volcano for this, and they forgave him only after he got rare fruits from the bottom of the crater. The girl thought that there was definitely no need to do like Abel. The teacher reports that since they have dealt with curses, she suggests moving on to praise. Lilith names 6 demonic words of praise, and these are stately, mercantile, money-obsessed, evil, cunning, selfish, and unscrupulous. The teacher claims that they are high-class demons, as representatives of the demonic world should adhere to these moral principles well, and that's why you need to live recklessly. After all, no matter how bad he is, it will still not be enough. The woman says that along the way she will meet those who will renounce what rightfully belongs to her, and they will also begin to put pressure, making you feel guilty and forcing you to give in. At this time, the main character thought that she had previously assumed that she didn't eat enough because she didn't work enough. If she hadn't been obedient, she wouldn't have received a piece of bread. Mia thought that because of her weakness, she could only accept reality. Lilith claims that she was not kind and did not give in to anyone and did not allow anything to be taken away from her, since she can and should have what she wants. The little lady realizes that she is tired of being kind, and then she says that she wants to earn a lot of money. Hearing this, the teacher was surprised and then asked why she didn't ask Dad for money. The little lady explains that it is his money. Lilith says that she is smart and will make a brilliant top-class demon, and then asks how much she wants to earn. The girl shows that it's a lot. At this time, the main character thought that maybe the teacher would consider her ridiculous, but demons should be crazy about money and be greedy. And then she says that she needs a lot, and if you buy up all the lands with the royal palace, then the money should remain. Mia thought that her words sounded rude because she saw the teacher's surprised face. And then she says that she needs money, like the human emperor. After these words, Lilith smiled and then asked if she knew how rich the emperor was. The teacher asks that, for example, she wants to be surrounded by gold and jewelry. And then he claims that these are excellent aspirations and exactly match the descendant of Dundevra. And she would also like her daughter to be like this. Suddenly, Lilith remembers what she had forgotten, and then says that she will show her the great royal lands. The teacher takes out a map and says that this is the entire land of the king, and in the very center is his palace. According to the agreement between people and demons, the former cannot enter the royal territory. In other words, only demons live here. And then she tells the girl that she's not discouraged at all. At this time, Mia doesn't understand why be discouraged, as she can become as grand a demon as the king. If there is the same opportunity, she will never miss it. The teacher believes that perhaps she has the natural talent to become a wise king. However, the main character reflects that she just wants to earn a lot in order to live without hassle. Lilith reports that the next generation will probably be interesting. Suddenly, their father comes to them and says that the lesson is over. And the little girl says that Dad interfered with them. The Archduke says that he cannot leave his daughter with Lilith for long. Hearing this, she asks that when Mia has a boyfriend, will he also be overprotective of her? And then claims that this is not far from a morbidly obsessed dad. Khalid announces that they are leaving because he wants to show his daughter the finished playroom. The teacher says goodbye to the girl and says that she is waiting for her at the next lesson. Dad explains that Lilith is a good teacher, but she should not get close to her. And the girl doesn't understand why and asks about it. And he replies that she can bewitch her. At this time, the main character thought that she roughly understood what Dad meant, and then asks if she has bewitched him. The gentleman tells his daughter not to worry because this cannot happen. And when they came to the game room, when the girl entered, she was very surprised because she saw a lot of gold coins in it. The father says that she said that she likes jewelry, and therefore invites her daughter to look around here to her heart's content. The main character looks around the room with delight and sees golden monsters. The father explains that these are teaching aids for children, made of pure gold and stones, and they hired a dwarf master to do this. And he also tells her the names of these monsters. And at this time, the main character thought that Dad loves this, and for her it's a little strange. The father asks the girl if she likes it, and she replies that she is delighted. And then he says that this is all for his daughter, and she should play enough. You can also break and throw, because that's even better. Hearing this, the girl was surprised, because she touches them with caution, and Dad says to throw them. The Archduke recalls that Abel, for example, threw away his toys as soon as he received them. At this time, my lady thought about whether all demons should do this. After all, she thinks that if she were angry or upset, she could, of course. Mia tells her dad that she can't do that because she's very happy right now, and then thanks his father for such a good gift. The Duke invites his daughter to spend the money that is in the playroom, and if necessary, he can invest it in his trading capital. Hearing this, my lady was surprised, since she could not even imagine their number. And then she says, "There's a lot here." And the father explains that they aim to become a great entrepreneur. Dad claims that this is early education, and therefore she should get used to it. And also there is money for education up to 5 years, and he will replenish it every year. At this time, the main character thought that she had a lot of money, and therefore she too should earn money and replenish her piggy bank. And she also remembers her dad's words that she will become a great businesswoman. A few days later, Tina tells Milady that it was good that they went for a walk. Walking through the garden, Mia says that the path is beautiful, and the maid claims that their lady is the smartest, since she knows a lot of words. The girl saw the berries and went up to the bush to pick them. But suddenly a servant emerges from the bushes and addresses Milady. Seeing him, the girl got scared and fell. Livius asks for forgiveness and then reports that her help is needed. He asks her to tell His Highness. And then he remembers the office until yesterday. After all, the gentleman reports that it is worth inventing a holiday, because he was convinced that his daughter was a true genius, and so he offers to make a Smart Daughter's Day. And then he objects and says that gifted Mia has the best day. Butler argues that we should also not forget about the day of the money-obsessed demon, the day of the great entrepreneur, the new generation, and the day of the jewelry-loving child. Khalid suggests that Mia might feel burdened if she schedules too many holidays, and the first thing you need to do is choose a holiday. The butler reports that His Highness has not touched serious documents at this rate for several days, and therefore the Deinderv clan may fall, and this is without any exaggeration. Hearing this, Tina says that he is being too dramatic, and the little lady reports that he is an alarmist. However, Livius begs Milady to tell His Highness that he does not like dads who do not finish things to the end. Hearing this, Mia asks if he is asking to train Dad, and he says yes. The girl claims that this is a petition, and then asks what Dad does. The butler explains that His Highness must issue permission for the tests, but he has been delaying for a whole week, and therefore the question is far from important as it relates to the creation of translation weapons. The main character understands that this is a weapon, unearthly artillery that knocks out air weapons. And if you think about it, in her dreams there was always a large-scale war. Mia asks if they will shoot at the Sky Island, and he replies that my lady is very perceptive. Then explains that the document only said that the purpose of the actions was protection. The main character reports that she refuses because there will be no weapons, and she understands that if after creating all these terrible things, a war breaks out. And that's why she doesn't want to become the instigator of bloodshed. The butler reports that he has another document in which it is written that a disaster occurred in the lands of Dundev. After all, when it is in the territory of demons, demonic energy gathers. A strong whirlwind is formed, everything in its path. Livius says that this phenomenon occurs frequently, and therefore property damage is inevitable, and these are documents with a summary calculation of losses. He also has civil petitions. The butler explains that this is why he asks Milady to help him sort it out, although this is because His Highness is shirking his duties. And at this time, the main character thought that it would be right to tell her dad to work. The girl understands that she can't do anything easily, since this task could become her first contract on the path to becoming a great entrepreneur. Mia asks what she gets for this, And he replies that of course the request is not gratuitous, and the girl says that she will agree if she likes what he offers her. The main character knows that she has a lot of precious stones in her game room, and money too. There is also a lot of clothes, and therefore the payment must be special. And at this time she realizes that she is thinking quite demonically. The butler claims that something unusual is needed, and he thinks that it seems that there are some ideas, and the girl did the right thing by pressing lightly. Mia thought that in the demonic world you need to keep your eyes open, and the gentleman claims that he can offer her marshmallows from all over the world. After all, he is responsible for food in the mansion, and therefore he will order them to get about 31 types of marshmallows. Hearing this, the girl's mouth watered, and she thought there was so much and she wanted to try everything. Livius reports that they even look different and are in the form of flowers in mice and cats, and then asks if she would like to try rainbow marshmallows, and to say that it can be dipped in chocolate or cheese fondue. The man asks if the children are ready to accept the deal, and at this time the girl talks about whether her dad will listen to her. The butler claims that his high number will listen to anything she says, and he is confident in the square. Then they shake each other's hand, and the girl agrees to try, and at this time she says that the attempt is not torture. Sitting alone in the room, Mia doesn't understand what she can come up with, and she reflects on the fact that there is a powerful weapon that is available only to children, and she doesn't understand why this thought didn't come to her earlier. It seemed strange to the girl that Dad decided to sit until the very end of dinner, because she understands that his workload is through the roof. After all, she understands that problems will begin in the house if he continues to push back work because of her. Mia understands that if Dad doesn't pay the mansion workers anything, and the amount of money for her upbringing will be reduced. At this time, the girl realizes that Livius really was not exaggerating. The main character reports that she doesn't like it when they work and don't do it the way they should, and she says that she likes demons who take their responsibilities responsibly, and so she decided that she would kiss such demons on the cheek. The father asks what he needs to do, and at that time my brother thought that Dad didn't know what a peck on the cheek was, and Abel didn't understand. Mia invites Tina to bend over and then kisses her on the cup. The main character recalls that she once worked in a toy store, and the dads smiled from ear to ear when the children kissed them on the cheek, thanking them for the gift. And she thought that maybe this tactic would work on her dad too. The Duke asks if this is a peck on the cheek. At this time, the girl thought that they were angry. Abel doesn't understand why sister kisses her first and asks about it. At this time, the maid thought that the atmosphere was getting tense and she felt guilty. However, my lady claims that Tina does her job well. Hearing this, the maid claims that she will give her life for her and suggests not to doubt it. Tina knelt down and said that Lady Dundever herself kissed her on the cheek. Such a lowly creature as she. Mia wonders if she violated any foundations of their house and asks Abel about it. He objects and says that everything is fine. He just doesn't understand why she kissed her first. When the main character heard this, she thought that Dad and Abel were angry because of this. And at this time, the guy with red hair turns to the maid and says that since she wants to give her life, he will arrange it for her now. Tina screams and turns to Milady and says that she probably has to go, and at that time the girl thought that she needed to be protected. Mia says not to touch Tina, and then he turns to his brother and says that if he wants her to kiss him on the cheek, then he needs to work hard. Abel claims that Fluffy has no idea how offended he is right now, and then smiles. And he says that she works less than him. Milady claims that she knows nothing since she saw him work. Abel says it's unfair. At this time, the main character does not understand what to do since they were both seriously angry, and she needs to do something so that Dad and Abel don't be jealous of her for Tina. The girl reports that whoever works harder and faster, she will smack you twice. And then he says that Daddy also has to work and can't play with her all day. Khalid says that he has already worked, but his daughter objects and says that this is not true. And then he suggests finding out which of them works more. And it says that only the winner will receive a kiss. The Duke announces that it's time for him to go, and Abel says the same thing. He also reminds the girl that she needs to finish her fruit. Mia thought about some kind of kindergarten, but the main thing is that it worked and it cannot be abused. Meanwhile, Tina talks with pleasure about the fact that my lady kissed her. Assistant Jaeus informs the Archduke that in the lands of Dinderve, smuggling of mandrake for non-medicinal purposes has been noticed. His Highness asks what the damage is, and he replies that there are already 3 victims, and they sell on the black market, and there is no information about the manufacturer yet. The Archduke wants to catch all the black market traders and force them to talk, and then find out who is doing this and why. And then he reports that the size of the fine will depend on the severity of the crime, and the maximum is 500 times higher than the standard one. Khalid informs his assistants that he is calling a 1-hour break. Livius asks His Highness if he is hungry, and the gentleman answers that no, and the butler says that he will order at least pepper juice to be served. Livius at this time thought about what worked, since the master finally got down to work. And in 10 hours they completed half of the accumulated tasks. And this is great, since the master can do it whenever he wants. The butler thanks Milady and says that he believed in her. A few days later, the girls wondered if Dad was trying. Servant Ben reports that His Highness is calling her to him. And then he gives a piece of paper on which it is written that the father wants to show how high-class demons work, and offers to look into his office. The main character puts on a beautiful dress and says that she is ready. But suddenly Tina saw that the lady had grown up and was reporting that before the payment reached below her knees, and now only to her knees. And so it will be necessary to order new outfits to be sewn. When she heard this, the girl was happy, because she was beginning to worry that she couldn't grow up. And then she says that she wants to become even taller, and the maid claims that it will be so. Milady says that she wants to raise an amazing, strong demon as soon as possible. When she found herself near the door of her father's office, the servant reports that Lady Mia Dundever has arrived. Hearing this, the girl does not understand why such formalities. But when Dad opened the door, he then took her in his arms and invited everyone to greet his daughter. And the men who were sitting in the office knelt down and said that they were glad to see her noble creation, who would lead the demonic world. Having heard this girl does not understand what they are talking about, but it confuses her. The father asks his daughter what she did this morning, and she remembered that she had breakfast and then had a snack and played. However, he understands that he won't speak like that because he needs to say something befitting his status. Mia reports that she has grown up. Livius claims that this is a wonderful event, and so they organize a celebration. The main character turns to her dad and says that she has grown a little, and at that time she thought that it was too much to organize a celebration for every increase in height. And she also understands that it is impossible for her uncle to be scolded because he promised her a bunch of marshmallows, and so she needs to quickly change the subject. The girl says that Dad has a very spacious office, and His Highness asks if she was surprised that the office became more spacious. And then he reports that the place used to be filled with documents, and they reached right up to the ceiling. The main character understands that Dad dealt with such a large pile of papers because he really wants her to praise him. And then the girl says that Daddy is the best. The father claims that he deserves a reward for this, and my lady understands that he wants her to kiss him on the cheek right there, since everyone is looking at them, and he probably called her on purpose to show off in front of everyone. Mia turns to Livius and asks if Daddy did a good job, but he didn't answer, he just showed his thumb. The daughter kisses her dad on both cheeks. Seeing this, the helpers say that they are jealous and envy is defeat, and therefore they lost. Mia invites her father to let her go. And then she approaches the man and thinks that he was truly jealous. And it would be nice if there was anyone else on her side other than Uncle Livius. The girl reflects that if she wins his sympathy with her hammer, then she will have another friend, and then she asks if she's cute. Hearing this, the man fainted, and the father offers to take this man away. The daughter tells her father that she loves him more than anyone, and His Majesty says that his daughter is smart, but he will remove that terrible guy out of sight, and she only suggests not finishing him off. Suddenly Abel approaches them, and screaming, asks that he hopes she didn't kiss her father on the cheek, and he wonders if the bet is not over yet. Dad replies that he is late and therefore must admit defeat, and also he should not forget to clean the ceiling. Hearing this, the guy with red hair offers to make a bet again since this time does not count. The girl remembers that today she has a lesson with teacher Lilith, and her companion tells her to be careful because she might fall. And then he says that if she slips up, he will catch her. Milady asks the teacher what they will study today. She replies that they will teach methods of using her power. The girl was surprised because she thought they would not immediately move to this stage. Lilith reports that the demon learns its gift in the process of growth, You can also start practicing even before its active phase and use your gift. Mia says water, and the lady claims that she said it right since she's a water demon. Milady says that her brother Abel is a demon of fire. The teacher reports that their powers are opposite, and that she and Abel have very physical abilities. But the girl's is quite abstract, and therefore it can be difficult. After all, divination is difficult to control, and it all depends on talent. Since she is a teacher, she will therefore tell her how to learn to control it. And she says that today they have a theory lesson with her. Lilith reports that the demon seer has basic capabilities. The first is the vision of future options through a dream and the choice of more desirable ones. The second is invading someone else's dream, and the third is creating your own dream pictures. Fourth, this is moving into the consciousness of another created dream. Fifth, sleeping and awakening and also taming mums. Hearing this, the main character thought that her gift turned out to be much cooler than she thought. The teacher says that the previous dream demon liked to enter other people's dreams, and she had a whole retinue of incubi and succubi. The girl asks who succubi and incubi are. The teacher explains that the succubus is female and the incubus is male, and they are also called mums because they try to steal other people's dreams. Lilith reports that it is not easy to catch them since the mummy deftly moves from one dream to another. But if you tame these creatures, they can be very useful. And the more muroms she takes under control, the easier it will be to work with dreams. Hearing this, the main character thought that she should quickly catch herself a muma, and he understands that now, most likely, they will simply eat her. And at this time, the companion reports that they will not eat her, because he will protect her. Sugar says that the Moomins are only capable of sending nightmares. They are quite weak, and he will kill them with one blow of his horn. Lilith reports that the previous dream demon enjoyed hunting mummies, and she even made a harem of 30 incubi and 10 succubi. The girl turns to the teacher and says that she has a question because she does not understand what a harem is. The lady explains that a harem is when she has many lovers at once, and the little girl doesn't understand why she has many lovers and asks about it. The teacher explains that 1 month has a maximum of 31 days, and it turns out that there is one lover for every day. You can also have 2 if you want. At this time, the main character thought that there was one for every day, and it was like choosing food. Lilith says that she has the opportunity to play with mummies in her sleep as much as her heart desires. Mia asks the lady why her predecessor died. Since the power of dreams became hers, that demoness died. And judging by the stories, she had a happy life. But my lady does not understand what happened. The teacher explains that she lost the battle for the throne, and the price for defeat was life. At this time, the main character thought that now she would definitely not participate in something like that. The demon queen is challenged once every 5 years, and if she wins, the daredevil can take the throne for herself. And then the teacher says that it is not necessary to participate, because her predecessor believed that with her retinue of mums, she would be able to win. At this time, the girl thought that if she were in her place, the first thing she would do would be to check in her sleep whether she would be able to defeat the queen with her gift. And then I decided whether to try it or not. The previous dream demoness had failed to foresee her loss, and Mia asks the teacher why she didn't participate. She replies that you are her generation. There was no need to organize a battle for the throne, because the queen had already been determined. The first and strongest, Queen Gaia, who is called the mother of original sin, and the demon empress who leads a legion of hundreds of millions of demons. Lilith says that she and her father and the queen are considered the elders of the demon world, and even the current queen, Gaia, is younger than them. Hearing this, Mia thought that she was wondering what kind of nature the first queen was. The lilac-haired lady suggests that Milady return back to her powers. And at this time, the girl thought that she understood well what her gift was. But most of all, she wanted to know why the prophecy should not be told to anyone, and asked the lady about it. The teacher explains that each gift has such a concept as compensation. In other words, payment for giftedness. The lady explains that knowing the future is a wonderful ability, and then asks what will happen to her knowledge if it becomes available to many people at once. After all, there will probably be those who like and dislike this or that future. The teacher asks what will happen if suddenly they all start rebuilding the future in their own way. And then, for example, she says that she had a dream in which she received something sweet. Abel overheard her telling another about what she had seen. And then the young man found a moment and ate part of what should have gone to her alone. I heard that this girl objects, and Lilith suggests that she not tell anyone about her dreams, because only she is allowed to know the future and choose the one she likes most. The lady says that if she shares this knowledge with someone, the future may change, and she will have to pay the corresponding price. The little lady says that it's like if her marshmallows were also taken away, and the lady replies that if so, then she can consider herself lucky, and sometimes this can end in great suffering or even death. And at this time, the main character thought that she did not want to die, and thought it was good that she kept her mouth shut. Lilith suggests that the girl not to worry, since she is the daughter of the Dunder family, and everything will be fine. And then he reports that there have been cases where dream demons were stolen in order to gain power. Mia was surprised when she heard this because she was planning to live alone. The teacher says that she will tell her how to wake others up. After all, the first thing is to feel the power flowing inside her. It will also be difficult to do this alone, since she has not yet reached the growth phase. The lady says that she will direct her power to her, and therefore she should follow her slowly. Suddenly, Mia saw a large horn on the teacher's forehead, which is different from those of low-class demons. Lilith invites the girl to close her eyes and tells her to follow the flow of strength, and after a few minutes, she said that she could open her eyes. The teacher says that she felt her power today, and perhaps she will be able to see the prophecy, and then he suggests not to be upset if it doesn't work out. The lady announces that this will conclude their lesson, and then he says that tomorrow they will try to practice putting her to sleep, and so she must bring several of her servants with her. The teacher says that she brought memoirs of previous dream demons, and then invites her to read these at her leisure, since they will be useful to her. In the evening, the girl looked at the books and thought that she should read them, because she needed to justify her hopes. Having opened the book, Mia reflects on the fact that it seems that the owner of the memoirs was very careful, and then he reads that guiding through dreams is simply a gift from above and can be improved through diligent practice, since it will be possible to distinguish between the near and distant future. At this time, the main character thought that the gift of providence could be upgraded, and then he reads that willpower is very important in carrying out, and the desire to see a specific dream must come from the very depths of the soul. At this time, my lady thought that she wanted to see Uncle Livius give her the promised marshmallow, and she doesn't think that if she wishes well enough, she will succeed. The girl reads about wanting to see something very, very passionately. Vision of the future is not easy, and the more sincere the desires, the more readily the gift will respond. Mia understands that she just wants to know it won't work. And then she remembers that, most likely, she then dreamed as many as 4 visions because of her regrettable situation. After all, her desire to eat marshmallows cannot be compared with the desire to escape from her uncle and aunt. Milady understands that these are memoirs of a demoness who, according to the teacher, had a bunch of incubi and succubi. And then I thought about how incredibly cool it is to be a demon. And Mia doesn't understand whether it's worth reading this, because everyone envy her, and it wouldn't be easy to have so many lovers. After all, someone like her was born to be a queen. After reading this, the girl thought that, despite her narcissism, she had something to learn from her. The main character looked at the book and thought that maybe there were notes on how to hunt mummies. And then she reads that owning mums is her special passion, and therefore she takes pleasure in breaking their will. And it's good that in a dream there are no boundaries. No matter how they resist, she always wins. And therefore the life of a demon is full of excitement. After reading the book, the girl thought that she felt someone's gaze, and the companion reports that her brother has come to see her. Seeing him, the girl screaming explains that she is studying, and then he claims that the door says "do not disturb," and then asks what he needs. Abel says it's not fair because he tried, and then she asks if he deserves the chance to chat with her. Mia invites him to come into the room, but when she saw his hands were dirty, she offered to wash them, and then she gives him a napkin. But the young master objects and says that it is not necessary since Junior should not do this, and therefore invites his sister not to pay attention. Mia asks Abel what his job is. He says that he is responsible for defense, but now he has also taken on some of the external affairs of the estate, and he says that he deals with debtors or those who are trying to deal with them dishonestly. and then he briefly says that he catches bad types. The girl asks where he got the ink from since his entire neck is in it. The young man explains that this is because of the receipts. Since the world is full of shameless people, and, for example, those who borrow from their family just to waste the money in a gambling house, and naturally, they do not return anything. Abel says that then her cool brother appears and punishes the debtors. He forces them to draw up a receipt in which they undertake to repay the debt, even if they have to sell their own organs. A young man with red hair says that he forces them to sign one piece of paper so that they evade less. At this time, the girl says that her brother is really cool. The young master asks Fluff if she heard the news, and then she reports that they are going to arrange a very grandiose celebration in her honor. Hearing this, the main character was surprised and remembers what her dad said about it. Abel reports that every year of birth of demonesses is traditionally celebrated with a gala reception. Apparently, due to the fact that she was deprived of such an opportunity, her father decided to make up for lost time. At this time, the girl thought that her daddy was paying her a lot of attention, and she can cry from this happiness. And then she thought that she had truly become part of the Dundiv family. Mia understands that she is accustomed to the fact that nothing lasts forever under this moon. But she thinks this place will remain her home for a long time. The little lady wonders who will be at the party, since she doesn't know any of the demons. Her brother tells her not to worry, because so many people will come that the mansion will be packed, because all the demons living nearby are madly eager to see her. Hearing this, the girl was surprised, and he claims that it is obvious, because no one dares to ignore the holiday of the daughter of the head of Dundevra. And then she announces that she will meet other demonesses. Hearing this, the main character understands whether she will be able to make friends with other demons, and somehow she's worried, because they probably already have a good handle on their abilities, and she's the only one left behind. The girl thinks that suddenly she will not be able to join their company since they are accustomed to the luxury of the royal castle. Abel tells his sister not to worry, since she doesn't need to prove anything and doesn't need to be afraid either, and so she should just be herself. The young man reports that her older brother will come, who also wants to see her. Mia realizes that they will finally meet Cain, and she wonders what he looks like, and she thinks that he must be very handsome. And the girl also thinks about whether the same boy whom she saw near the tree will come, and at this time she reflects on the fact that she cannot wait for the holiday. Abel invites the girl to remember not to behave with others the same way as with them, and then explains that the demons will do anything to get her attention. The brother invites Milady to repeat after him that if a demon tries to speak to her at the reception, she will ignore him. And then he says that if someone borrows, he will kick him. Suddenly the girl remembers what she saw in her dream, how they had a reception in their house, and she realizes that this could be the same party. The young master asks Fluffy if she is listening to him. The girl asks how often they have receptions. The young man replies that the reception is generally quite rare, since his father does not really favor noisy celebrations, but the holiday in her honor is a completely different matter. The main character understands that if holiday parties are rare, then this means that she saw that very reception in a dream. And she remembers how she followed the suspicious sounds heard in the corridor, and then she was kidnapped. At this time, Abel says that his father believes that holidays are for idle people, and the girl thinks that she cannot go, because suddenly one of the other children will be kidnapped along with her. At this time, Sugar insists that his mistress should not be afraid, since he is always with her, and no matter what happens, he will protect her. And the little lady thanks him for existing. Mia realizes that she also has Abel and asks if he will protect her at the holiday. He replies that she offends him when she asks such things. The girl says that they agreed and then invites him to go, since she needs to study. Abel claims that this is dishonest because he misses her, and she kicks him in the face. The main character thought that she needed to find answers, and then she opened the second book because she didn't want anyone to get hurt. The girl reads about what happens and that something is simply destined to happen, and even the demons of dreams cannot change these events, and no matter how desperately they want it. Sometimes even their own death seems to be the best way out because nothing can be done, and they will only have to humbly accept it. Mia reflects on the fact that she is a demon born on the day of emptiness, and probably her favorite efforts are in vain. And she understands that Dad is organizing a party in her honor for the first time, and something bad is immediately planned there, and that's why she doesn't want such an evening to be ruined. The main character understands that she needs to become stronger because of course she cannot win. An adult demon that has come into force. Suddenly she read that she could put the kidnappers to sleep. The girl wrote on the front door that Dad and Abel were not allowed to enter because she was studying. And after reading this, the father thought that it was harsh and thought that she was already sleeping. Khalid thought that at the party in her honor he would name his daughter's new name, and he also hopes that she will like it. Milady understands that this is a dream, and she does not know why she flops down on the floor every time. And then she is in an incomprehensible room and thinks that she is in a temple. The girl hears voices that the deal with the demon has been successfully concluded, and now they can only wait. And they need one that will suit Elhana, and it must be a girl with abilities. The main character thought that this was a Snow White place, definitely belongs to the Neraphimites, and she does not understand why a deal with demons is being discussed. The men say that they feel sorry for the artifact, but they understand that if everything works out, El Kala will generously reward them. And this time, they must get the target, and it will become a weapon that will allow them to destroy the demons. An unfamiliar man claims that it is their sacred mission to obtain such a weapon because they understand that now there is nothing more important. The man claims that kidnapping another young demoness will greatly boost their morale. Hearing this, the main character does not understand what they are talking about and assumes that the Neraphimtsi are behind the kidnapping. And she doesn't understand what kind of weapon we're talking about, and she doesn't know what to do with this information. Mia thought that she needed to overhear as much as possible. But when I opened the door, I saw that it was a doll shop. And then she saw a little pony that looked a lot like Sugar. Suddenly the lady saw a boy hiding. She wondered who he was. When the girl pulled back the curtain, she saw that the place had changed again. She saw her brother telling Fluffy not to be upset, and the girl says that she failed again. Abel assures her that she should consider it just a good experience. However, Mia assures him that her clothes are made of water-repellent fabric, and at this rate, she won't sell anything. Brother asks that if she wants, he will find that designer for her. And then he says that he knows his name. After all, it was he who invented water-repellent fabric. But Mia is upset and says that it is too late. And then he explains that they are already suffering losses of 10 billion, and now there is nowhere to put all this goods. At this time, the main character thought that she would not allow this. And at this time moved again. The girl found herself on the street and overheard a conversation of people saying that the fabric that repels water is a breakthrough, and also that their June is really a genius, and who would have thought that he would invent such a miracle? When the girl looked through the open door, she saw the boy whom she had already seen. And this boy named Jun reports that he has a pre-order worth 10 billion. Mia thought that if she could come to an agreement with him, then they would have profits, not losses. She calculated that there are 7 people in the December family, including children, and she wonders if she will be able to find all these guys. And then she convinces herself that she simply must meet them. At this time, the main character thought that she was dizzy from all this information, and she realizes that maybe the fact is that her strength is growing, as the teacher said. Suddenly, the girl moved again, and she does not understand where she is. But when I looked up the mountain, I saw many black birds and thought that this place smelled of danger. Mia heard a cry that the brat knew what he was talking about, and then she saw the man turn to the boy and say that he died, and it was all because of him. And the man, screaming, tells him not to pretend, because he knew everything and asks if this is so. He also reports that he deliberately slipped him poison instead of medicine. The boy in the raincoat does not understand what the claims are against him, since it was his choice, and then asks if he didn't know that real healing mandrake is expensive. The guy reports that he asked for something cheaper, and therefore explains that naturally there were toxic concentrations from cheaper components, and so he collected from what was and offers to say thank you for the fact that he took it at all. The blonde guy claims that it is his own fault that he chose price at the expense of quality. The man heard this and became very angry, and then, screaming, asked how dare he speak, such a dirty charlatan. He says that he slipped him the wrong mandrake, knowing full well how poisonous it is. At this time, the girl watched them and thought that she did not expect that this plant was such a dangerous plant. The man asks in surprise how he could sell him such rubbish, and at this time the main character thought that Abel was poisoned by this. When the boy took off his cloak, Mia saw his silver hair and thought that he was a Neraphim, and then he says he can't stand rats sniffing things out. The guy comes up to the girl and says that she really is a little rat. Hearing this, the girl does not understand why he sees her inside a dream about the future. The boy says that she is a curious Nakodka, and he asks who she even is. And then the blonde guy claims that it makes no difference since he will kill the pest like he always does. Suddenly the main character woke up and Pony asks if she's okay. At this time, the guy with fair hair, when he woke up, he thought that he had turned into a child on purpose. And then he realized that even so, she must have felt pressure from his gaze. And he thought about what else simultaneous conduct had happened. Simultaneous vision is a highly unusual phenomenon where two creatures are able to see the future and they fall asleep and spend time in the same dream at the same time. The guy understands that such cases are isolated, and this is often a harbinger of something grandiose. And although he doesn't think that this is just their case, and most likely, the girl simply has enormous talent. The man did not think that he was sorry that she was a demon, and he would keep this future a secret since he had not been so intrigued for a long time. And he also understands that this is not the best first meeting. The blonde guy thought that he was sorry because he wouldn't be able to greet her in person, which he really wanted. And then he thought that he had too much to do because they were waiting for him, they couldn't wait, and El Kala was calling him. At this time, the main character reflects on the fact that she still feels somehow strange after so many events at once. And that's why she wants to come to her senses, because she should have a lesson now. The teacher says that today she brought test subjects to class, and since they planned, they will move on to practice. Mia reports that she prepared and read everything she gave her. Hearing this, the teacher praised her and did not call her smart. Lilith tells the servants to lie down. Mom so. And then she tells the princess that she doesn't need to be nervous, otherwise her power won't work as well as it should. Milady reports that she will try, and the maid says that everything is fine with her and therefore she can do what she sees fit. At this time, Mia thought that she was not okay, and maybe the maid was afraid of the teacher. And at the same time, he understands that she is not scary at all. Lilith says that fear of her is a completely normal reaction, and therefore suggests that the girl not worry. When the main character heard this, I didn't think about the fact that her teacher could read minds. The lady says that they will practice until she succeeds in putting a target to sleep from long distance. And only then will she be able to withstand any threat. According to the notes in the memoirs, you need to concentrate the power within yourself, and imagine that she is a bee that is spraying dusty pollen. The teacher reports that the girl is doing well and their princess is a real talent. And then he says that the first step is the concentration of force, which acts directly on the object. Mia turns to Tina and Ben and says that she is starting. The maid says that she is honored to be her first test subjects. The girl thanks Tina, because thanks to her words, she completely calmed down. And then I thought that this is the so-called sleep blanket, and it wraps the target and puts her to sleep. Lilith invites the princess to describe how she feels now, and then reports that she put the target to sleep on the first try, and this is amazing for her. Mia asks if everything is okay with the servants. The teacher assures that they just fell asleep and offers to look at their serene faces. The lady asks the girl if she knew that many demons suffer from insomnia, and then she explains that there are so many of them that they will line up to her with bags of gold at their disposal as soon as the demons find out that she taught how to put them to sleep. Lilith says that according to statistics, insomnia is the most common ailment among demons, and there are almost 80 confirmations, and only those who, like her, were born on a day of idleness sleep normally. Hearing this, Mia thought that this was the perfect, brilliant idea to open her own business. Because sleep is important for both humans and demons, and if she starts helping her relatives who suffer from insomnia, then she will gain tons and tons of admirers. The main character dreams of opening her own salon and calling it Bye-Bye, and also from visitors to establish connections and business to learn how to conduct. The girl doesn't understand why none of the previous dream demons thought of this. Suddenly, the maid apologizes for interrupting the lesson and asks when the two will wake up. And then he explains that Tina and Ben are simply responsible for preparing the event, and they will be reprimanded if they do not fulfill their duties. Hearing this, Mia got excited and then, screaming, she invited Tinochka to get up. The teacher calms the girl down and says that they will manage without them, since Livius will figure it out himself. At this time, the main character thought that she had ruined everything and did not understand what to do next, and then asks what will happen if they never wake up again. Lilith says that this is nonsense, and then says that if she worries so much, she can sneak into their dreams. The teacher claims that it's better to just leave them, and if you don't wake up in a couple of days, she'll try to wake them up. About 35 hours had passed since Tina and Ben fell asleep, and the main character is so worried that she herself can't sleep now. Sugar asks the hostess to sleep, otherwise she won't grow up. The girl doesn't understand why they don't wake up since a lot of time has already passed. Pony says that they clearly dream about food and it's hard to tear themselves away from it. And that's why they are gluttons and don't understand what to take from them. Mia suggests that they suddenly really fell asleep forever. And then she remembers that in the Red Diary, it was mentioned that her predecessor sent all the shiny demons to the realms of dreams and no longer sees them. The girl remembers that the Green One said that you should be careful when you put someone to sleep. Otherwise, he may not wake up at all. And also, any dream demon must be aware of the responsibility in this regard. The princess thought that she already missed Tina and especially her responsiveness, and that's why he won't ask Abel or Dad anymore, since they're probably asleep. The companion reports that his owner thinks too much, and then she offers to simply do as she sees fit, since they will not stop loving her for it. Mia understands that now, maybe yes, but to be honest, no one will tolerate the child's whims for long. The princess does not understand what these Neraphim residents are up to, and she understands that this is something bad. Suddenly, the girl heard a knock on the door, and when she opened it, she saw only a box. And the companion says that she can open it because she doesn't feel any danger. The main character understands that if it were Dad or Abel, they would probably give it to her personally. When she opened the box, she saw very beautiful cookies. And she became interested, because they do not look like the creation of Jotun. Pony reports that there is a postcard there. Mia reads that Dory told them that something has been bothering her over the past few days, and whatever it is, she should know because they are rooting for her. And they also hope that these cookies will help her stay awake and thank her for the bandages. And also signed that this letter is from the servants of Dundevre. The girl was pleased that they had prepared cookies especially for her, and she realizes that everyone is very kind to her. And it looks like the whole team worked hard for her. The main character says that we need to thank them, and the pony says that she can say thank you to everyone in turn. Milady looks at such beauty and says that she cannot eat them, and her companion says that she thinks correctly because she might get a stomachache later, and besides, he will feel uncomfortable watching her eat little unicorns. The princess understands that Sugar is right, and if she watched Abel eat cookies in the form of her, then the feeling would be so-so. When the pony looked out the window, he wondered what kind of crowd there was outside, since there were many servants there. The servant reports to Abel that they have installed 193 magic mines, and everything was dug up as it should. The young master says that he does not trust them, since this is a matter of primary importance, and he will not allow any idiot to dare to sing Mia's serenade under the window of the room at the holiday. Abel invites one of the servants to step on the mines, since he needs to check. Hearing this, the servant asks the master to have mercy on him, and then explains that every day he washed the stairs along which my lady walks. Then the master offers to do it to another servant, but he, screaming, explains that he puts the clothes that my lady wore into the chest and writes down how cute she was in them and how many times a day she smiled. Another servant reports that he polishes my lady's shoes every day until they shine. The man says that he is studying the ladies' tastes and reporting on their cooks. The third reports that he maintains the temperature of the air humidity so that my lady sleeps well. Abel is tired of hearing this, and then says that they are making him repeat himself and offers to do it to anyone. At this time, the main character went out onto the balcony and then turned to her brother and asked what he was doing. When the servants saw Milady, they thought that she was their savior. Abel jumped onto her balcony and then asked why the little fluff wasn't sleeping. Mia talks about how she can't sleep, and he asks if she should read a book. The little lady asks in surprise if he can read. The young master claims that he reads well. When Abel entered the room, he saw the box and asked where these cookies came from. The girl replies that it was given to her and invites him to put the box back. The young master read the letter and then says that the cookies are tasteless and keeps the box in the mountain so that the girl cannot get it. At this time, the pony hoisted the girl onto him and she took the box of cookies. My brother claims that eating sweets at night is harmful, and she replies that she did not intend to because they are too expensive for her, and therefore she invites her brother not to touch them. Abel says that his little Fluff is long overdue for a treat, and then he says that if she doesn't sleep well, she won't grow up. However, the girl objects and tells her that she is growing well. The young master asks why he doesn't see anyone then, but only hears a voice from nowhere. The girl, screaming, says that she is right in front of him and then says that Abel is a reptile. Abel asks for an apology and says that he won't do it again, and then asks if she wants him to show her something. However, the lady refuses, and he said that he wanted to introduce her to his familiar, and he wonders why she's not happy. When the girl heard this, she became interested, and then the brother suggests that he show himself to Aten. Seeing the big cat, Mia asks in surprise if he is his only familiar. The main character hugs the cat and says that she missed her very much. And the brother reports that Aten is also glad to see her. And then he says that he is a sacred beast of fire, and then asks if he is more cute or cool. Mia says in surprise that he is just really, really cute. Abel says that he will look after her if he is away on business, and only to him can he entrust his sister. And he also invites my lady to consider that he is the second Abel. The young master claims that she went to bed because his own eyes are sticking together, and he says that he will go to bed only after her. The girl asks what will happen if she doesn't fall asleep, and the brother replies that then he won't go to bed either. However, she assures that everyone is falling asleep and he should go to bed. Abel says that he will go to bed a little later. However, sister says that he said that his eyes are drooping, and he says that that is, because he had a great day. But he's fine. Mia looked at her brother and thought that it was obvious that he wanted to sleep. But she understands that she is calm when Abel is nearby. The girl tells her brother to sit only a little. Hearing this, he thanked her for her generosity. The main character reports that Tina from Behnam has not yet woken up, and she is worried whether they will come to their senses tomorrow. The young master heard this and asks who they are. Then he remembers that they are her servants. The little one, or Ode, understands that he has forgotten who is serving her. Abel tells his sister not to worry, because they will come to their senses by morning, and he is sure of it. However, the girl asks what will happen if this is not so. The guy with red hair says that then they will douse them with ice-cold well water. Having heard this, the girl thought that she did not like such methods, and then she said that she wanted to sleep. After a while, Abel asks Fluffy if she is sleeping, but when I didn't hear anything, I thought that she was still just a baby, but already with character. And she's so tiny, but she's not afraid of him at all and doesn't avoid him. And also not repulsive, but simply an amazing creation. Abel approached the table and said that he was sad that even such a trifle was valuable to her. The young master understands that soon his sister will find everything she dreamed of, and then, without a twinge of conscience, he will be able to throw it in the trash without even trying, and also stop worrying about trifles. Abel says that the Fluff is finally home, and unlike him who did not know deprivation, she longed to find a home more than anything in the world. And so he hopes the Dundevra estate will become the best refuge for her. The young master thought that he suddenly remembered the words that his mother said a long time ago. A woman with red hair turns to her son and reports that he has not yet learned true strength, but because he has never tried to protect what is dear to him. Mom says that the demon becomes much stronger when he has those for whom he is ready to be a sword and a score. While in the room near the Fluff, Abel thought that he finally understood the meaning of his mother's words, and so he is ready to dirty his hands with red liquid as much as he wants so that she can walk along the desired path. The next day, 50 hours after Tina and Ben fell asleep, both morning and lunch passed, but they did not wake up, and the little lady was worried about them. The teacher reports that the moment has come to invade their dreams. The lady asks if she knows how to wake up a sleeping person by entering his sleep. Milady replies that she read about it in a book. The teacher suggests getting down to business. At this time, the girl thought that she was counting on her sugar, and then invited him to try and closed her eyes. Suddenly, she was studying in another world, and says that it will be difficult to come here and she is interested. Nothing can be invented. The companion says that it is dangerous here, and if they retreat, they will lose the path and may never wake up again. The teacher tells her to be calm and then asks if she can see the way. Mia replies that she sees, but very vaguely, and therefore she is afraid that the door will not be found at this rate, and she does not understand what they should do. Lilith says that as far as she knows, in this case, it is better to use something material as a guide that will help you not to go off the path. The teacher says that, for example, you can listen to music or draw an imaginary door on paper. The girl remembers that there is another way to enter someone else's dream, and when she moved, she was preliminarily attuned to the dream with the help of some object from the outside. After all, at the end of a clearly visible path, a door must appear. The path is much easier when the demon's soul is in a state of peace, or if the sleeper is not particularly opposed to the invasion. Music, drawing, and modeling can also help you get in the mood. The founder reports that she has one useful gift for their princess, and then he offers to open the box for her and says that she hopes that this box will be useful to her. Mia saw a music box and the lady offers to wind it. After all, who knows, maybe the melody will make her task easier. The main character says that the melody is very charming, and then invites the pony to try again. The companion asks if she is sure, since he thinks she is already tired. But the girl assures him that everything is fine, and then he invites her to hold on tight. At this time, the main character thought about Tina and Ben, and that they would stop shoveling and need to wake up quickly. And so, they should know because it's already coming. The main character found herself in a dream and saw a lot of chickens, as well as other food. At this time, Tina woke up and said that she had a very cool dream, in which she eats and the food never ends. The maid says that she simply loves fried chicken, covered with a golden crispy crust, and it glittered like real gold. Ben says that thanks to her mistress he was able to eat to his fill for the first time in his life. The girl enthusiastically says that one way or another she is glad that they are both okay. Ben remembers that he had a very tasty dream, and he still enjoys it. At this time, the main character thought that perhaps she should be glad that the first euthanized awakenings were successful, because she was so worried about the fact that they still didn't fall down. Tina asks in surprise why they slept for so long, and the lady explains that they slept for more than 2 days. The maid remembers that they had to discuss the birthday cake for Mrs. A and also had to come up with a design. And Ben remembers that he and Mr. Abel had to organize security. Lilith. We invite them to go and then claims that everything about their princess works out the first time. However, the little lady objects and says that it took her 3 attempts to do this. After all, the first time nothing worked out at all. And in the second, she entered a dream, but she was unable to wake anyone up. The lady understands that it was only the 3rd time that she managed to wake up Tina and Ben. Mia thought that she was tired, and then the teacher says that she thinks it's worth ending the lesson here. After all, she did a great job. Tina took the girl in her arms and asks about the fact that she was exhausted because of her. However, the lady replies that there is a little, the main thing is that they woke up. The maid reports that for the next 6 days they will carefully prepare for their holiday, and therefore the little lady should not worry about anything. Hearing this, the main character thought that there were 6 days left before the kidnapping incident, and therefore she needs to quickly think about a plan of action. From the next day, the Dundevra estate faced endless troubles. And when she walked along the corridor, she thought that she couldn't even believe that this mansion could be so bright. Mia says it's very beautiful here, and Tina explains that everyone is trying for her, and she is sure that no one will allow her to work carelessly. And at that time, I thought that otherwise they would all die if something went wrong. The main character reflects on the fact that she is receiving a lot of attention, and the mansion was furnished with maximum luxury. The princess asks in surprise why her uncle pulled out these trees. Tina replies that it is thanks to her that they are beautiful. Livius says that it would be a sin not to use them to decorate the mansion on such a day. After all, such expensive trees are just for decoration. The girl understands that she is not against it, because she wants their family to look prosperous in the eyes of other demons. Mia walked around the banquet hall and remembered where she was, and she understands that therefore she will not be kidnapped for anything, and she will not harm other children of demons. The main character remembers that she has one important matter left, although not like a kidnapping, but nevertheless, it is important. And then the girl asks the butler when she will receive the promised collection of ethers. And when Mia looked at the surprised face of Livius, she realized that he had forgotten and asked him about it. Did he forget about her favorite marshmallow and about his own promise? The butler objects and says that everything is wrong as she is in a hurry, and he will definitely give her the promised collection during the holiday. And he will cover the whole table with marshmallows in one moment. Mia asks how she can trust him now, and Livius, screaming, asks the lady to believe him just once. The butler announces that he will prepare a whole gingerbread house for her, and she will be able to play in it and have a snack with it at the same time. Livius reports that inside there will be everything needed to throw the grandest tea party, and she will be able to invite demon guests to this house, with whom she wants to make friends and have a lot of fun with them. Mia says that she forgives him, but this time she will forgive him last, and the butler thanks her for this. The father turns to the girl and says that it is time for them to go. The girl thought that she and her dad were going for a walk without Becky and Abel, and on the way back, they plan to choose return gifts for the demons who will come to her holiday. The girl reflects that there will be 3 types of gifts in total. First, for adult demons. Second, for little demons. And the third is for those with whom she wants to become close friends. Onako Mia doesn't understand what would be best, and at this time she remembers the boy, and he is the last option to express her special affection. Going outside, the girl says that the season has already changed and it's already spring, and there are a lot of beautiful flowers all around. The father takes his daughter in his arms and invites her to take a closer look. And at that time, the girl thought that her soul immediately felt so easy and as if nothing had happened. Mia picked a few flowers and offered them to Daddy. Then she put them behind his ear. Dad takes the flowers and also offers them to the girl's hair. And at that time, dear lady, I thought that now they both have flowers. Khalid asks his daughter if she likes flowering trees, and when she answered that she liked it, he said that he would grant her land on which there were many of them. The gentleman tells the assistant to give her the documents, and then says that it will be a gift for her birthday. Dad reports that in the south of the land there is a lovely girl with vineyards and wineries, and all this will belong to her. Hearing this, Mia was surprised and thought that she would have her first land, and the gentleman apologizes for the fact that he has not been around for these long 5 years. The little lady says that she is very happy, and Dad says that he will leave an empty space for the name for now, since then she will write it in herself. At this time, the main character thought that her dad would announce her new name at her birthday party, and he does so much for her. Mia thinks that she will receive compensation for those 5 years of torment in the Evlan mansion, and then she invites Dad to change seats and hugs him around the neck, and also thanks him. The girl saw that her dad smiled and thought that she was now sure that he liked hugs. The father suggests going out for a snack first, and the daughter agrees with him. At this time, other people were watching them, and they did not understand how this monster could have a flower behind its ear, and they also assume that they are having collective hallucinations. And the men reflect on the fact that the land that the gentleman undermined for his daughter is located in the south of the lands of Dundevr, and this is a land with a rich history that produces half of the wine sold in the empire. The tongue of the devil is the birthplace of the most exquisite wine in the empire, and even the imperial rich can only afford it on holidays. The man in surprise reports that this is the most fertile land of Dundevrez, and suddenly it dawned on the gentleman that the power of the Dundevrez clan had just passed into the hands of that girl. The man reports that they need to find out as quickly as possible who she is and where she came from in their duchy, and so they need to give her a gift and look for something that the child will like. While enjoying a delicious lunch, the girl thought that she should not waste a minute, since the dish was very tasty. Mia thought about giving wine to an adult demon. Since she is now the owner of the winery, she should cater to her future customer base. All she had to do was choose gifts for their children. The girl recalls that she was in charge of a toy store, and so she needs to look there if possible. When they entered one store, Mia reports that there is nothing here, and then suggests going to another. After all, he knows that in his dream he looked different. The main character thought that maybe she was confusing something, because in this shop she should meet a boy named Jun. Dad says that they are almost there and this is the last toy store in the capital. Hearing this, the girl thought that maybe this store was not the right one. When they entered the store, they were met by a salesman, and the little lady thought that he resembled those of Count Evlan. Dad noticed that his daughter was clenched and asked her about it, And then he says that if she doesn't like anything here, then he will invite the best masters of the capital for her so that they can do exactly what she wants. At this time, the main character thought that her father was as reliable as always. And then it is reported that she wants to give the children cute little unicorns and something like a mini copy of her familiar. Suddenly, the girl saw a little pony and thought that he was exactly like her sugar. The assistant asks how many toy unicorns they have, including the one the lady is holding. The seller replies that there are 10 pieces and he says that they take every one. The seller says that they can still make 20 pieces, and the assistant wants to get started because the order is urgent and they pay accordingly. The little lady saw a familiar curtain and thought that she had already seen this pattern somewhere. When the girl opened the curtain, she saw a boy who quickly ran away. And at that time she thought that he was the genius she had to find. The companion suggests that the mistress just call him first and not chase him. However, the girl objects and says that she should know in what environment June creates the product. Mia thinks that if it turns out that violence is being used against him, she will not leave it like that. Dad looks surprised and understands why the boy was so interested in her. When Mia opened the door, she saw a room in which there were many boxes, and they were all dusty, and all around there was paper and a wooden doll. The girl understands that the local owner is a real miser who allows his people to work in such conditions. And he earns a lot, but saves on people. Suddenly, the little lady saw people and she screamed because of it. The boy asks her to be quiet and then shows us a man who is sleeping. Mia thought that this guy was the local overseer, and then quietly asks if they live here. When the main character saw the girl's angry face, she thought that she was clearly not in the mood to have a conversation. The girl reflects that if children actually live here, then this is not normal. And then he asks them to eat, sleep, and make toys. And I thought about what was holding them forcibly in this place. The boy angrily replies that it is none of her business, and the girl she doesn't know keeps telling her to get rid of it and get out, and then asks why an aristocrat could care about them. Mia asks how much money they need to have to work here. However, the guy assures her that they don't have to beg, and she suggests she should keep her pity to herself. At this time, the main character thought that this was not pity, but most likely culture shock, because someone allows themselves to treat talented children like this, who bring in multi-million-dollar incomes. The girl understands that the seller himself lives happily and in luxury, and for her, Jun is a gift from above. Mia asks the boy if he made this unicorn, and he replies that this is his job. The little lady wonders if they made the other toys that are on display in the store. Then the main character announces that she is hiring them all. Hearing this, the stranger asks what kind of nonsense she is talking about. Mia explains that she is offering to work for her and will pay 1 gold coin per toy. And she just wants to purchase goods directly from the manufacturer, and it will be much cheaper. However, the unfamiliar girl screams and asks why she would buy someone like them, and she wonders if she wants personal slaves, and also if she thinks they will choke for money, like those dolls in the window. Mia claims that she is rich, and then explains that she does not buy the dolls, but their labor, and they must understand that this proposal is beneficial both for her and for them. The main character claims that this proposal is beneficial both for her and for them, and then he offers them a deposit. And she says if they agree to work, then she will pay them even more. And then he offers to sell the hairpin and earnings and divide them among themselves. The girl explains that she plans to open her own business, but she does not have craftsmen who can make high-quality toys. And then he announces that he is offering official employment. And if they are interested in her proposal, then they can go with her. Mia claims that her dad is very strong, and the shop owner will not dare to contradict him. Guys, I thought for a while that if they don't take the bait, they'll have to ask Abel for help. Suddenly, a man woke up and asked if she was still like this. And the unfamiliar girl suggests that she better leave quickly. The man says that he is addressing her. And at this time, the girl thought that she was not afraid, because she was now strong enough. A stranger asks where her parents are, and at that time, she thought that he should not worry about her and calls him a disgusting old man. And then he claims that he will be responsible for the suffering of these children. She will contribute to this, and he must be sure. Hearing this, the man wanted to hit the girl, but at this time she says that she is also strong and can protect herself. And then, with the help of magic, she settles him on the floor and the man falls asleep. And at that time, she thought that they didn't know what he would dream about, but it wasn't rainbows and unicorns that made him sick. Mia takes the boy by the hand and invites him to go with her. And the boy says that he must warn that they did not make most of the toys, my son. They were supplied with blanks, and their task was to condemn the eyes, for example, or alter the ears with horns.